Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on TPJ WIVES Summit. So, this is our day 2, and we had an amazing time this morning. We had an amazing time yesterday. If you missed these 2 sessions, go ahead and find them on our YouTube channel at Thy Precious Jewel. So, we've got a very busy evening ahead of us tonight, and I've got these amazing ladies who are in house already. So I'm going to bring them up one by one. You may have seen their bio on the intro that you just watched. So in-house today, we've got Tonye Arowolo, who is the lead for TPJ Motherhood. Amazing lady, soft-spoken, but very strong woman. I tell you, you would misjudge her if you met her face-to-face. And sitting next to her in the back room, we've got Motunrayo. Hey, Lagos housewife. God help you. After that, we've got Omolade Olufowomo. It's Sunday morning in Sydney, and she's joining us live and fresh. Red lipstick is a blessing to many people. She'll give you the details later. And then I've got Trisha Famorio, who's joining from Lagos. I told you Trisha can bring money from a tree, from a paper, from anywhere. So I'm going to bring them on one by one, and hopefully you will get to love their faces when you see them. Don't worry, they're all good. So that is Tonye Arolo joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. I've got Rayo, Lagos housewife. I've got Omolade, who's joining us from Sydney, Australia. And I have got Trisha Famarillo. So ladies, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you. Can you just unmute yourself briefly and just say hello to the ladies?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good. So, to those who are joining us, we want you to please go ahead and just share this video. In the next 1 minute, just share the video, pass it on, let your friends know that you are watching and you're joining TPJ WIVES Summit. We are live on Facebook at Omobola Jeffries, and we're live on YouTube at Thy Precious Jewels. Whilst you're trying to share the video, can I just use this opportunity to invite all the ladies who are watching me, if you are or you live in or around Abuja in Nigeria, Thy Precious Jewels Conference is holding in Abuja on the 8th of October, just 2 weeks from now. The hand of God. Sincerely, you need that hand upon your life. So if you live in Abuja or you live around Abuja, try and make it a date with us. So we're good to go. Who should I throw in the deep end first? All right. I think I'm going to throw Tonye in. You should be expecting that, shouldn't you? So Tonye, you are the lead for, motherhood and things like that on Thy Precious Jewels. The question I have for you this evening is, a lot of mothers, they don't know what to look for. They don't know how to navigate around choosing a nursery school childminder. So what do you look for when you're choosing a childminder or a nursery school for your child? What are the key things that you should be considering apart from praying?
Apart from
praying.
Okay, apart from praying. So practical tips is what you're looking for.
Yes.
Let me go back to myself. When I was looking for a nursery school or childminder, one of the first things I did was ask around. You want to go to a place where, so I'm talking of nursery school now. You want to go to a place where they are proven to take care of children properly. And who can give you that feedback? You would definitely do your site visits. You will go there, but they're going to show you the best. They're going to want to present, their best fronts. But the people who've had their children in there for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 3 years, if people have left, they've left only recently. So you want to ask them questions. Ask about the staff, ask about the facilities, ask about safety requirements. Definitely go in yourself and have a look and match what you've heard with what you're seeing. So if somebody, for instance, is the friend of the owner, they would also paint a very good picture. But you want parents who've gone through the system, who who've had good and bad experiences, you can actually decide to go to a place where you've had where you've heard one or two negative reviews, but on further investigation you found that they've rectified that or they've remedied that. That's one step. You want proximity, so there's really no point. If I use Lagos, for instance, if you work on the island, what I did when my children were quite young was I would take them to work and drop them off on my way to work. So the additional stress of traveling from one end of town to the other because you've heard some place is very good, but it doesn't fit your own daily schedule. Don't give yourself that added stress. Make sure it's convenient for you or convenient for your partner, to drop off and to pick up. Let me quickly go to having somebody in the house to take care of your children. Personal preference is key. So what works for A might not work for B. For various reasons and at different times and different seasons of my life, I had different people. So for instance, I chose to put my children in the nursery when they were quite young before they could talk. But once they could start talking and expressing themselves, then I got people in the house to take care of them after work. But it all depends on you. But you want somebody who fits your idea of who you want your children to be with. So somebody comes in and it's smelly or it's dirty, and your own personal standards for hygiene are quite high. You definitely don't want anybody like that near within your household. You want somebody who can communicate clearly, who you can preferably literate, so that you can write down instructions and they can follow, tick by tick by tick. Somebody who does not need to be told, things to do 100 times over. You don't want to add. So for any help, you don't want to give yourself added stress. A help should be a help and should not be somebody who's going to, add problems or trouble to yourself. You're looking for how to ease your workload, not to increase it. So those few tips would be what I would look for.
Doing. My mic went off for a second there. So thank you so much. And now we're gonna have the next question. So I don't know who to put in the dip end next. Let's see. It will be Omolade. Omolade, I'm gonna throw you in the deep end next. I hope you're ready. So the question for Omolade is, how do I avoid the sack?
Oh, how do you avoid the sack? That's an interesting question, and the perfect question to get thrown in the deep end. It's actually, in my opinion, a very simple answer. Bring value or add value. No one sacks someone who has value or who has, brought value to the table. The past couple of days I was airing a teaching. It's a familiar parable of, the talents. When the king was, traveling, their boss was traveling, and then he gave them talents. There is no way you're utilizing that talent to do business and coming back with profit, and the king or the boss or whoever in the organization then says, we no longer want you here. No, the more value you bring to the table, the harder it is for you to be sacked. And when I talk about value, it's not about, just ticking off your job responsibilities. One of the things I see a lot of times is you see people who just say, my job says I have to resume at 9, I have to leave at 5. And between 9 and 5, this is a 1-hour break. They're just signing off on activities, not thinking through of what value can I bring in this organization, even if it's this job description. What can I do differently that would bring benefits to the organization? Some people's job are a little bit manual. You're typing in stuff in Excel, you're reviewing data, you're not thinking through that. How can we, automate this? How can we bring efficiency to what the organization does? Let me tell you the simple truth, sisters. If you are employed and one of the things I do when I even change roles or when I'm, having tasks is I always keep my original job description. And I tell myself, if after 6 months, they can utilize the same job description to get another person, then I've not brought value to the organization. You have to keep looking at your job description and seeing, how can I reinvent? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make a difference? Let my presence in that role, at that point in time, let it make a change. What are organizations there for? Profiting. Why are you employed? Profiting. That's the truth. Nobody has employed anyone because they just like your face and there is no value. Nobody's just going to employ you because, oh, this person needs to pay, mortgage. This person needs to meet needs in their home. So let's just employ them and do them a favor so that we can pay them and give them money to live. That's not the reality of life. You are in a place of employment because the employer wants you to believes you have something in you that you're bringing to the table. But if what you're bringing to the table is not translated into what makes their organization more efficient, more effective, more profitable, then they wonder, can we better invest that funds in a different in a different part of the organization? Can we better invest that fund, in someone else? So let me come back again. Value. How do you add value? Think about yourself, personal development. What skills have I added after my employment? It's not enough that I have a master's, I have a PhD, and this is it. Learning doesn't stop. Even in that role you are in, are you learning? Are you innovating? Are you adding that innovativeness to your daily activities, to your work? Are you speaking up when there are opportunities to go the extra mile? Are you speaking up? It's not just being willing to go the extra mile, but nobody's going to wait for you. Nobody's going to be chasing you in order to give you that opportunity. So you are willing to go the extra mile, but when those opportunities come up, sometimes in short-term projects, sometimes in supporting a different organization and, meeting their, target, are you willing to speak up and say, yes, I'm willing to do this? When they're asking people to volunteer for something different, do you speak up? So if your value is limited to just, like I said previously, your own job description, when there is a need for restructuring, I can assure you that your name will be one of the first names where they are thinking that, oh, someone else in the organization can actually double up and do your role, especially when your role is very, very manual. So always think through, what value am I bringing to the table? Is my value changing? Is it making the organization more efficient? Is it bringing profits to the organization? Who are my target audience? Are my customers getting what they need? And when I talk about customers, it's not just external customers, internal stakeholders also. Are they gaining value? Am I bringing value to them? And most importantly, my tip is this: always go through your job description. If what you're doing has not changed in 6 months, there is a problem. You have to innovate. You have to automate. You have to find ways of making life easier, not just for you, but for the organization.
Awesome. So essentially, bring value. Because if you don't bring value, you're going to be dropped off the radar. And the same thing applies spiritually, as I always say to people. God does not waste his generals. Even you don't waste your generals. If there's anything that is of value to you, you don't put it where other people can catch it. That's the reason why when you know your value, like we were taught this morning, you can even haggle. You can tell your employer, I found somebody else who's willing to offer me a bit more for what I'm doing for you. And then there will be a competition. Some of us are always trying to keep safe. Let me just maintain this one, this little one I have. I'm just going to build a castle here. No, if you are too comfortable, forward-thinking organizations do not want you. They want somebody who can put them on the hot seat and make them known. But if you just want to do what you've been doing for a long time, I'm afraid you're not going to be of much value to them. Thank you so much, Omalade. Now we're going to have Tricia next. This is a question that I know a lot of ladies would like to have answers to. I've heard about importing goods from China, branding them from there. Are you able to advise what is involved for someone who is seeking to do this for the first time?
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. Okay, Nigeria is an importation country, unfortunately. But what do? We have to leverage this opportunity. We have to, I'll call it an opportunity. So we have to leverage importation to also make money. After all, we import everything, almost everything, right? So, but you can leverage importation to make money by standing out. If you look around the internet, everybody is importing shoes and bags to sell. So what can you do as a stay-at-home mom, as a career woman, to add value, to add to your source of income via importation? Think. I like critical thinkers. What can you do to stand out from the market? What can you do differently that does not look like what every other person is doing? You don't need to have 1 million naira to begin the business of importation. You don't need to have money huge enough to import a container load of products, right? You can build your own brand. You can build your own brand. Someone in my network recently began to import frames with her own name. She's building her own brand. You can make clothes. Someone else in my network, she may be listening to this evening, began, she just launched her sleepwear brand. So you can leverage importation to create loads of money for yourself. You can leverage importation to build a brand, to build a business, a sustainable business, rather than shoes, bags, hair that every other person is importing. In importation, the possibilities are enormous. The possibilities are a lot. You can research products. Time will not permit me, but if you go to Alibaba, once you log into Alibaba, one of the first pages you'll see is hot products. So you could research product that people are always searching for. So you could decide to create a niche somewhere around there and do something different from what every other person is doing. You can also decide to bring in something entirely different that is not in the market. There's a particular product I've been seeing in the market, for instance. I am sure that I am the market leader of that product. Now, one of my clients wanted a promotional gift for their antacid, right? So while thinking of, okay, what can we give them that is different, that is not in the market? Every company is giving pen, t-shirt, face caps, and all of that. And then in my research, I stumbled on a water bottle that looks like an intestine. Now, it's collapsible, it's silicone, you can open it, you can bend it, and all of that. And boom, I knew the processes I had to go through. If you're going to be a market leader for a particular product, there are processes you have to go through, right? So I went through all the processes. They asked for some documentation and all of that, and I brought in that product, loads and loads of that. And after that, I started seeing the product. So it's safe to say I am the market leader of that product, right? So leverage. Importation is everywhere. Oh, people are importing, but research with the Holy Spirit. What can I do differently to stand out and make a whole load of money? You can brand cosmetics. Someone else recently launched her lip gloss line. Supergirl, yeah, that's the name of her brand. Supergirl. Someone else in my network. She recently launched her lip gloss line. So there are lots of opportunities that we could leverage in their importing products to Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha. Now, the question I want to ask is, I mean, like me, if I go into Alibaba, I mean, I've had an account with Alibaba for 3 years, but I haven't been there. Occasionally, I just go in there and look for a few things. But if I was to find, for instance, a ring on Alibaba, and I want to import it in hundreds or thousands, is there any authority in Nigeria where you're based that I need to speak to? Do I need to go to China? How do they send specimen samples to me? Can you let us into that? Because I think a lot of people will want to know a bit about that.
Okay, yeah. You could contact the manufacturers and open up a conversation with them. And I forgot to mention, thank you, ma'am, for bringing this up. Always do a sample first. You don't jump into the river with your 2 legs. Always do a sample first. When your sample arrives, you can do all the quality checks and all of that. And if it's a product that needs to be registered with NAFDAC, you go to NAFDAC, go to the authorities to make sure, okay, you get certified with NAFDAC and all of that. But always ask for a sample. Usually there will be some back and forth. They bring it, okay, I want the color to be a bit deeper, the branding is not what I want, you send back, there'll be a lot of back and forth before you finally settle on the final outcome you want.
Okay. Now, being a Christian, And knowing the society in Nigeria, is it possible to get away with not giving bribes in clearing and getting the certification that you need? How easy is that?
It is difficult. It is difficult. So being a Christian, it means you have to follow due process. So if other people are getting it in 6 months, you might get it in 3 years. So you could get busy doing other things. Or I always advise, because of our system, I always advise that you go for a product that will not require a lot of certification. If you're making a clothing brand, you don't need all of those. If you're launching frames, you may not need all of those. But if you're going into cosmetics, perfumes, or kiddies products, or even food products, you will need that. I went to a China trade fair about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was just looking around, and I saw some of our popular sachet tomato, Gino. I saw Gino, Tom Taste, and all of that. And I got interested. I stopped by their stand, and I was looking at it. And the person that came to attend to me was like, what they had 3 categories of the same brand. Let me not call the name of the brand. They had 3 categories, but the same label and everything. And I was asking, okay, what is the difference? And they told me that the 3 of them had price differences. So when I was told, thank God, Lagos housewife is here. She's always preaching that we should eat organic and all of that. And when I asked what the difference was, they told me that the most expensive is pure tomato, organic tomato. Then the moderately priced is mixed. Then the cheapest one was just additives. And the price of the cheapest, I knew that there was no how we buy. I don't know how much the sell is sachet right now, but as at then, I knew there was no how these companies that bring in these products were buying the original sachet. So even they over there, they know that a lot of us compromise on quality. So as a Christian, you must make sure that you do your business according to the will of God in a way that is pleasing unto God. So rather than having to cut corners because you want to make profit, just go for products that are easy to sell, that you may not need to be stressing yourself on some of these things.
Thank you. So that brings us to you, Lagos housewife. Lagos housewife, I've seen on your page is one day I think it was one of these Wednesday meetings that you hold. The way you eat is the way you die. That was what you said, though. You said, I was watching, I said, hey, Jesus. She said, you said the way you eat is the way you die. Please share with us about the woman's kitchen and how this affects the health of our family. Did you just hear what Trisha said? Additives. Hey, Jesus. God, I must never be poor. Upon this altar, I ask.
Amen.
Yes,
Yes, ma. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma. Thank you so much. Yes, I like this question. As she rightly said, the way you eat is the way you die. So if you know you want to live and die healthy, please eat healthy. Your kitchen, I always tell people, I say, your kitchen, is there life or death in your kitchen? Whenever you're cooking, one thing I want you to look at is this thing I am giving my children, my family. Is it something I can confidently stand before God and say, I gave them what will nurture their bodies? That's something I always ask myself. I tell people, whether you like it or not, one of the responsibilities as a woman is the fact that your family was given to you to nurture. You are to nurture them, to raise them in health. Nurturing and parenting is not just about be polite, have good manners. What are you pouring into the body? It's only a healthy body that can have good manners. What is the use of all the good manners if you're going to be in the hospital and all the good manners is exposed to is doctors, nurses. You are not even using it to fulfill your body. So what is in your kitchen? I told someone was asking me recently, said, am I a vegetarian? Am I vegan? I just simply told her, I said, I'm Godtarian. That's what I am. I said, if it is created by God and it is for eating, that is what I will eat. But at the same time, we should understand that the fact that something is healthy does not mean gluttony should come into it. All you people that will eat mound of eba like this, and you say eba is healthy, the eba is healthy, the quantity is not healthy. Those are some of the things you need to look at. I have a lot of mothers who tell me, my child doesn't like this, my child doesn't like that. I said, even you as an adult, if somebody just places a plate with food inside that you don't know what it is, and you're like, okay, what is this? And they say, eat it. I said, will you eat it? Involve your children in cooking. Children are intelligent. They are smart. They understand things. Someone sent me a video of her son. The son was she was rushing to cook. She was in a hurry, and was said just now, she bought sachet tomato and everything, and immediately the son saw it. The son said, "Mommy, no, Lagos housewife said that thing is not healthy. Don't use it to cook for us." So children hear you, they know. Tell them about the food, involve them in it. Let them know these are the health benefits. As in, I always used, then when my son was small, and I'll tell him about his vegetables. I'll tell him vegetables and fruits, they help you not to fall sick. You know the way you feel when you are ill and you have to go to the doctor and everything. I said it's vegetables and fruits that help you not to fall sick. They help you to be strong. I'll tell him this one is what builds you to be strong. I said, you want to be strong like daddy, right? Yes, this is what builds you to be strong. That was when he was small. As he grows, I explained to him, this is what this is used for. This is what this is. This is why we do. Sometimes he will see maybe food that is not healthy or something on TV. He will not tell me he wants to eat it. Immediately, what he will ask me, Mommy, can you make a healthier version of this? I'll say, yes, I can. And I know that's my clue to go research, to go digging, to go find out, to start experimenting, to know how I will make this healthy for him. You understand? Because he wants it. The fact that he's eating healthy does not mean he's being deprived of anything. No, in fact, he's being fed and nurtured. And same thing with my husband, with myself. I tell people, I said, it will be too bad if I stand before Jesus and he tells me the reason you could not fulfill your purpose is because you were not healthy. What kind of testimony is that concerning us? So you should think of the fact that you are nurturing bodies. The Bible says, a body have you prepared for me. Every single one of us, we have only one body. The moment that body gives up, no matter how strong spiritually we are, no matter how vibrant our spirit is, the moment our body gives up, our spirits have no option but to depart this life. I remember one time when I used to complain, I would say, why am I just feeling like this? Why every time I'm always sick? And in my mind, all I'll be thinking is, now, wow, I can't wait to be out of this body and to have my imperishable body, to have my resurrected body, to have my this thing. And I was constantly falling sick. And it got to a point I told God, I said, God, why am I constantly falling sick like this? And he told me, he said, you don't value your body. You treat it like a liability you can't wait to be free of. He said, I value your body. Why don't you value it? He said, your body is not a liability. It's your only ticket in this world to do anything I have called you to do. He said, value it, nurture it. Your body is not a failing. It's not a weakness. It's your strength in this world. And my mindset changed about that. Your kitchen is not just a kitchen. Think of it as the fact that your kitchen is what is helping you keep your body alive and whole. Your kitchen is your first hospital, is where is your lab, is where everything pertaining to your body is first tackled. That is what the kitchen is to us. It's my lab, it's my medical space.
Wow, awesome. Your kitchen is your first hospital. That is where you take care of yourself. That is where you decide what kind of diseases and illnesses you may have. Like Dr. Davisi told us yesterday. I mean, I don't know if you joined yesterday's session. If you didn't join yesterday evening session, please go and check it out on YouTube. What you eat, is so important. If only you realize that. Some people, God intended for them to live long, but you see, they're going to die early because of what they put in their mouth. So deal with your appetite. We're back to you. Thank you so much, Lagos Housewife. We're back to you, Toye. Question for you, Toye. How do you navigate a regular time to develop your children spiritually? A Jewel says, I feel that my mom could have done better in the place of prayer for us. I see myself doing exactly the same now. What would you have to say to this lady?
Yes, thank you for that question. Beautiful question, and I think it's one that a lot of us at various times have had to think. Intentionality. So heaven isn't going to fall on your kids and turn them into super kids overnight. And I would say that apart from being, first of all, you it's a good thing you're thinking about this question because it's important, and then you have to have a plan. But a lot of the time, people start up with very high plans without they are not smart plans, so they are not specific, they are not measurable, they are not what are smart goals, they are not time bound. But also because I know a lot of moms feel guilty about this. You hear a lot of times people talk of how their mothers were prayer mothers and they don't seem to be as prayerful. I would say just take a step back perspective and look at your current life. For me, what I do is incorporate. So your Christian life is not just one part of you. It infuses every aspect of your life. You are not just, you can't put your spiritual life into one bucket and now then have different compartments. It's diffuses your entire being. So whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're at play, whether you're at church, whether you're with friends, you are a spirit being, you are a child of God, and it has to show. So my very first advice, before you even create a plan, is for you to infuse Christ everywhere you go, into everything you're doing. For me and the kids, we're going out. Somebody has a Bible. Yes, you have quiet time, but there's nothing stop saying that it's only 7 a.m. in the morning or 6 a.m. in the morning that you must have quiet time or you must talk about the Bible, or in the evening before you go to bed. We're in the car, there's traffic, or we are going, on a long distance. Okay, open the Bible, read Psalms 28 for us, read Psalms 29, read Proverbs 12, and discuss it as you go along. You are in the kitchen, there's a teaching moment. You are using a sharp knife. You can say, the word of God is sharp like that. You're cutting the yam, your entire. So one of the things in preparing for this, one thought that kept coming to me was the fact that, you are shedding yourself everywhere you go as a parent, as a mother, as a father. Your children are watching you, and if, for instance, for the first 5-10 years of your children's life, you don't have a structure, don't worry about it. Start where you are. And in starting where you are, just incorporate it into you, everything you do. This, you are sitting down to watch a film, check the ratings before you watch it. You don't want to go halfway into it and start to explain to your children, actually, we are not supposed to watch this. Jesus said, explain why, for instance, you can't watch certain films. But there must be teaching moments in everything you are doing, everywhere you are doing. You are driving. So, for instance, driving in Lagos can be crazy, and you are short tempered, and it comes out. Apologize, in that moment to your kids. Apologize to God. Pray for patience. all you are doing is just showing forth the life that you have on the inside of you. They are ill. Before you reach for a pill box, lay hands on them. That's what, and teach them, So what I would say, apart from, yes, having a structured, it's a lovely thing for you to be, for your children to have, their own quiet corners, their own quiet times, their own times with God, but do not see it as something that must be kept in a certain bucket. Incorporate it throughout your life. You're on the road. What stops you in the middle, in the car? Myself and my older daughter speaks in tongues. Okay, let's pray. There's nothing happening. No, it's not we are praying for anything in particular, but let's pray. Let's, speak in tongues. Let's edify ourselves. Let's sing praises. Don't wait for morning devotion for you to sing praises. Throughout the day, lift up your voices and just, just start spontaneous praise, in the middle of it. So yes, you need to be intentional about it. Create a plan, but above all, in everything you do, the entire day, just incorporate Christ into that. And your children are watching and they are copying. You would find that they are with friends and somebody has one, and before you know it, one of them is saying, come, let me lay my hands on you and pray for you. And you've spread the love of Christ and the joy of Christ. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toyin. One other thing to add to that is that you should make it simple. Some of us who were raised in Christian Union, Scripture Union, King James Version only, that was the only way God spoke those days. I mean, life has moved on from King James, okay? I study King James, but I study even at this time, I'm good, thank you. At this time, I open up many different versions, even at my age, almost 50. I open up many, because King James, when you are waking up at 4 a.m., King James does not speak correct English. You need somebody that can speak correct English to you when you can understand it. So don't make it difficult for your children. Explore different versions of the scriptures. Help them to explore. Take them with you to buy them a Bible, or even if they have it on their tablet, make it real to them. Tell me, read this. Do you understand what this says? Or would you prefer this one? You see, the fact that you're involving your children in that decision alone already makes it interesting. Okay. And then let your children pray. Let them ask God for things. When there is an answer, they feel elated. They feel they are part of the success. Remember the woman in the Bible, the widow whose husband, of course, had died and there was no food. The Bible says that she went inside the house, locked her door with her son, and prayed. The boy saw that before the prayer, there was no food. During the prayer, they did something. They spoke. After the prayer, there was food. Let me tell you, that boy can never be stranded when it comes to food. He can never be stranded because he has seen his parents follow that footpath. So, yes, I had one of those mothers who I could boast of forever. My mom was a praying mom. Look, your mom was fantastic too. She did what she could do. I wouldn't really come and tell you what my mom did not do really well, because I want to respect and honor her memory. But your mother was perfect for your destiny. If your mother didn't pray, so how about you? Yeah, you can amend yourself. It's high time we stop saying, if only my mother did it. That's fine. Your mother didn't. How about you doing it? Your mother was 47 years ago. She didn't have all the things you have now. You got internet, you got Instagram, you got Lagos Aswa, you got Omobi, you got Oyedepo, you got, and what are you still doing? So don't blame the woman of the past. Look at yourself now and see how you can make it better. So get your children involved, make it really simple, and that should hopefully interest them. And as Tony said at the beginning, pray. The Bible says that the hearts of kings are in the hands of the Lord. You have kings and queens living in your house. Their heart is in the hands of the Lord. Pray, Lord, pull my son to you. Draw my daughter to you. That is the most important part. The rest of the job will be easy when you have already prayed for them. So they'll find it easy to love God. Awesome. Sister Omalade of God.
Yes.
Sex discrimination at work. How do you handle this? Let me say this. Omalade, I know you will be able to flow in this. One of the things that really upsets me is when you have mature singles. I'm sure some of the ladies joining us today are mature singles, and they get addressed down at work because they are not married. You see a 20-something-year-old lady being called madame because she has a wedding ring. And a single lady who is mature single, they just call her by her name. That is already annoying enough. They're already telling you that, look, you cannot be anything good because you're single. And then the fact that some people just believe that women cannot be good enough. What do you have to say about that? And how do we manage that if you're stuck in such a position?
Thank you very much. You already started the answer. I think the first thing is acknowledging that there is bias everywhere. Sometime last year, I was holding a session, on women in leadership with a group of women, who were sharing different, experiences, which they have in their, different spheres of influence. And one of the questions I asked them is, do you understand and acknowledge that there is bias everywhere? One of the answers I got was, oh yeah, but everybody speaks against bias. My organization is against bias. Nobody is allowed to, be biased against you because of your gender, because of your race and everything. That is all well and good, but we're focusing only on the conscious bias. Now, unconscious bias is part of what you've spoken about, Dr. Mobi. Unconscious bias in the place of age, where they associate, your age with the value you bring. Unconscious bias is set in, people's culture or ideas of what is right or wrong. Sometimes the people actually exhibiting that unconscious bias are not even conscious of it. I'm sure for a number of us on this line, you can think about it, that there are times you yourself exhibit unconscious bias, where in some organizations or in some countries, being married is tied to respect, where in some, places, being, having a lot of qualifications, or being a certain age, is where they then think you deserve respect. So the first part of thing is understanding that there is unconscious bias, either because of stereotypes, where they think, there is this general idea that, oh, if a woman is not married at a particular age, that woman is sad and bitter. So even if the woman is saying something not tied to that, because there is that expectation, they are then interpreting that word in that, in that line. Unconscious bias also tends to lead to credibility, to think that you gravitate towards people, who you think are like you or speaking like you, and you tend to, sort of give them the same amount of authority you think you desire. And then the other part, of this unconscious bias, when we talk about likability, where for women, we sort of assume that, our respect should be tied to how much we are liked. Those are some of the examples of unconscious bias. But now the question is, how do you navigate it? Let me be very honest with you. In the career world, whether you like it or not, we would face unconscious bias. Thank God for global organizations that are working strictly against bias, against harassment, against sexual discrimination. There are HR laws, there are guidelines where you can actually report life, discrimination if it happens. But a number of times, these unconscious discriminations, these unconscious bias are not visible and are not being called out. So they are not outrightly written in the policies because it is built into, everyday reality, everyday activities. But how do you navigate it? How do you navigate it? The first thing is this: know what it is and call it out. That's the reality. You don't call it out, it's going to keep building. But before you can call out something, you have to know what it is. And that's why I started by talking about, it's sometimes unconscious. Sometimes we ourselves, are guilty of it because it's very subtle. We only focus on the ones like, oh, somebody called somebody by name and called another person madam. But there are other little ways, everybody is talking in a meeting and then they're, oh, no. We hold on, just keep quiet for a moment. I think your value, we don't want to air your voice at this point in time. Or they deliberately set meetings for times when they know, oh, you need to rush back home to go pick up your children. Or they deliberately, structure things in a way that would exclude you when they know that, oh, because of your sex or because of your age or because of where you live, you might not be available. So you need to be able to find those things out. And then, like I said, number one, identify it. Number two, call it out. How do you call it out? Not in a rude manner, but in your face. Look, there are times, you are in a meeting and someone says a joke. Sometimes we laugh at jokes that actually are not respectful towards us. Because in awkward situations, it's instinct to like, but by laughing at some of those jokes, or where they talk about, oh, this person is now married, and this person will no longer be available. Oh, now that she's married, oh, now this person has a baby, no longer available. Those are subtle discrimination topics, but you just like, that is how it is now. Where you now, no, when you laugh, you validate it, and it continues. Call it out respect, like, why do you think this person can no longer add value because they're now married? Or why do you think, oh, let's have Sister Molade present something? Oh, no. Why do you think? Ask the question. Why do you think this person cannot? Many times when you ask people to voice out their reasons, they realize the discrimination or bias they're bringing to the table, and it calls it short. And I always tell people, call it out in the presence of others. It's not, you don't have to be rude about it. Or somebody makes a joke like, can you explain that joke? I'm not sure I fully get it. How is that applicable to what I'm doing? In the particular example you gave, Dr. Mobi, they call somebody madam, they call somebody by name. If it is important to you, the discussion of whether that is relevant or not is a different topic on its own. But if it is important to you, if you associate that with the level of respect you're giving, call it out politely. You could be in a meeting and, short discussion with the three of you that, okay, let's use an example. Myself now, Dr. Mobi and Sister Toyin, we are together. And Sister Toyin is calling, Dr. Madam. And then she's looking at me and saying, Omolade, go and do this. If it is important to me, I'll be like, oh, no worries, I'll do that. Oh, are you that you are madam? Why do you actually think she's madam? Is there a reason? Do you guys know each other outside work? I'm just wondering, because that is not the tone of the organization. That's not how we address each other in the organization. Is there a specific reason you're addressing that differently than me? Let it be tied to the expectations of your organization. If it is natural in the organization for everybody to be called by name and somebody is being called differently, ask, oh, do you guys have a different relationship outside work? Is that why you're calling her, a madam or a missus? And if the nature of the organization is for everybody to be addressed by a missus or a madam, and then you are called differently, you ask, oh, I guess we must be on very good terms for you to be calling me by my name. That is interesting, isn't it? It will be good to know you more. There are ways you call these things out. And then the other thing is, look, you have to find an ally. Many times, my pastor was saying something a few weeks ago about now the English now ran out of my head. When you on Facebook or the internet and you're browsing specific things, and then it keeps bringing those kind of things back to you. What is the English, Dr. Mobi? You probably remember it. Where the AI is then bringing the same advert of the things you've watched, of the things you've spoken about. Yes. It sort of is also embedded in our brain. If you see everything that, every reaction as harassment, you would find harassment in every single conversation. So let me just quickly bring that out, that you also need sometimes to change your thinking and your thoughts. But like I said, call it out. Find an ally. Talk to someone neutral in that organization. Ask for their viewpoint. These are my observations. This is what I've seen. Do you see it the same way? Or am I being, am I reading meanings either because of personality clash? Because let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes there is a personality issue. I talked about likability. Ask somebody's, opinion. What do you think? Find an ally you can talk through with. And if the person actually confirms this, call it out. If you need to take it higher up, take it higher up. But in everything you do, make sure you're working within the rules and the guidance of your organization. If your organization is not focused on master, Mrs., Mr., whatever, you have to be okay with a 10-year-old calling you by name. It has nothing to do with respect. If your organization calls the CEO by name, you have to be okay with it. But if the culture of the organization is now about, the Mr., and then you're thinking you're not getting it in the same way others are getting it, like I said, call it out, but in a respectful manner. And above all, look, like I said, there is always unconscious bias. Many times, even by women ourselves. I've sitting in, a group of, we have conversations, and we ourselves are excluding ourselves from opportunities because of unconscious bias. We say, oh, we are not strong enough. Oh, I'm not available. When we talk about mobility, you ask a man, can you travel in the next few days to go and, oh, I'm available. Boom, 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 they are good to go. Before the women, don't offer, even as a boss, you are the one saying, I'm not sure that woman can go. We don't give them the platform. We don't give them the opportunities because we already start assuming, our woman is, I know she still has a young child. She has a young, she can't do this. Or, there's opportunity to send people abroad. But this dear sister that is not yet married, if we send her to UK, they said there is no husband in the UK. We ourselves start, creating opportunities to limit people because of this idea of what we think is right or wrong. So, in as much as, as individuals, we face our own part of the bias where we have to work consciously against, think through how you are also impacting others, limiting others because of the unconscious bias and expectations of what women can and cannot do.
Thank you so much, Omalade. That was very exhaustive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next question is for Tricia. So, Tricia Famarillo, starting of businesses, side hustles, ideas of what one can do. How do you know what can be a successful side hustle? I can't get out of my head the story of your fish business. You shared with us a long time ago. I think it was fish. Was it fish? Yes. Can you please tell us how important is a side hustle and how can one choose one? How do you know what to do? What is profitable and what is not? Thank you.
The Bible says in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. I love the Amplified Version. It says, arise from your spiritual depression to a new life. Be radiant with the glory and brilliance of the Lord, for your light has come, and the glory and brilliance of the Lord has risen upon you. Also in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 1, it says, cast your bread, send your grain, let me read NLT, send your grain across the seas, and in time, profits will flow back to you. Now, whatever you find yourself doing at every point, either you're working or whatever it is that you're doing, is a seed. If you have a job, I'm a firm believer that your job is not the end. It is a means to an end. So if you have a job, your job is a seed. Well, I think it was Solomon that talked about building another man's vineyard while he left his own vineyard unkept. While you're working for whoever you're working for, what are your plans for building your own vineyard? So I want us as women to always be thinking of, what next can I do? What else can I do? How else can I make money? I'm not talking about in an obsessive kind of way, right? But I'm sure we understand what I am trying to do. Your job is a seed. It is a means to an end. Before we talk about side hustles, are you even keeping money aside to leverage opportunities when they come? Opportunities will come to you, but don't let them come to you when you are broke. Now, how much I like to talk very well about, I like to talk a lot about the Joseph principle, the principle of keeping at least 20% of your income. You could see the mystery that happened in Egypt then. If 100% was enough to take care of them for 7 years, and 20% still took care of them for 7 years, they still did business out of the 20%. They still used out of that 20% for trade by barter. They gave it out to get land, they gave it out to get livestock and all of that. Then there's a mystery to saving. There's a mystery to saving. So before you can even talk of side hustle, how much do you have kept aside to launch into opportunities when they come? You want to use the latest iPhone, you want to use the latest, you want to have blue shoe, light blue shoe, dark blue shoe, navy blue shoe, and all of that. Those things are good if you can really afford them. But please, sisters, keep money aside so that when opportunity comes, you can lock into them. Then, how do you discover opportunities around you? Look for a problem, solve it, and make money while solving it. The portion we read in Isaiah, say, arise. There's another translation, I can't find it right now. It says, arise from your depression, arise from prostration, arise, shine, for the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Arise. Arise. Enough of the pity party. If you, I don't know what to do, or I don't have money to start businesses, that is not, you cannot tell me that. Mama just talked about, she mentioned in passing about my fish business. I was selling fish. I didn't care. My husband is a pharmacist, and he was working with the community we were in. So most of his friends were pharmacists, so they come around. I didn't care. In fact, I made them my customer. I didn't care. I was not ashamed. An article, there was an article that wrote something about me, and when I saw there was a magazine, sorry, that wrote an article about me, and when I saw the headline, I busted into laughter. It said she was smelling fish and making money. Arise, sisters. Arise. If you do not have money, even if you do not have capital to start that business, there are service-based businesses you could start. Arise. I went to do a little shopping this afternoon, and a particular section of the supermarket, I saw packaged honey beans. The same honey beans in the market, though. They only packaged it and labeled it. And I saw people picking. I saw packaged Ijebu Gari, the same thing that we buy in the market. It was only labeled. Then I saw something interesting. I saw powdered beans that someone made. I tried to look. I only saw the person's YouTube handle where she said you can learn how to use them for your bean cake and your moi moi and all of that. There was no address, but of course there was NAFDAC number. That was somebody that identified a problem and is making money while solving it. Arise. Arise. Think of what you can do. If you do not even have capital, you can make money while selling other people's products. The first 1 million naira I made in my life, I did not put in a dime. I wanted to supply a particular product. I looked for the product. I put in my proposal. I followed up with prayer and hard work and everything I needed to do. And I got the contract. I was given 70%, and I executed with another person's money. Arise. You just need to think. Arise. There are opportunities lying everywhere. So the story of, you cannot tell me that I don't have capital. I was there. You cannot tell me that your children are stopping you. I am a mom. There was a time in my life recently my husband was telling somebody this story. I backed my last son and entered the banks in my environment and told them I could supply lunch for them. And they obliged me, and I did, and I made money. Rather than sitting at home and idling away and becoming depressed and looking at other people like they are moving ahead, arise. If you are working, what else can you do? A lot of pictures you see these days of products on the internet, most of these people don't have the products. You post the pictures of these products, and you get someone that has the product. That is drop shipping. You get someone that has the product. You post the pictures of this product, add your own profit. When you get a buyer, you collect the money, pay the owner of the product, keep your profit. There are loads of things we can do, sisters. Arise. Arise from prostration. Arise from depression. Shine. For the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. When we are in the north, when we are in Sokoto, I was thinking, what could I do to make money? That was where I sold fish. That was before I started to sell fish. That was before I opened a shop where I was selling fish, chicken, and all of that. And I was thinking, what could I do? I crafted proposals and I took to most of the banks in Sokoto City. And I told them I could decorate your bank for Christmas. That was at about this time, coincidentally. I could decorate your banks for Christmas. I could provide gifts for your HNI clients. And one of the banks, Access Bank, two, I can't forget, GT Bank and Access Bank. They gave me contract. I decorated their bank with their own money. I made money, a lot of money. And they approached me, oh, can I also provide hampers? Sisters, I didn't know what a hamper was. I didn't know what a hamper was. I asked my husband, he told me that it's a gift pack now, and he tried to explain it to me. Then I checked Google and I said, oh, I've been seeing this gift pack. I didn't even know the names of hampers. And I quickly went to the market. I created them, several of them. I made money. Arise, shine, for the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Arise. Leverage opportunities, sisters. There is, Mama, there is this young girl on that is a protege that sells food stuff on Facebook. She does not have a warehouse, but she sells food stuff in bags. Whatever product that is around her, that is more prevalent in her environment, she posts them. Oh, buy a goosey, half bag. Buy whatever, buy palm oil. I see her and I'm excited. And people are buying and she's sending them to different cities. And she's making money. She didn't need to have millions as profit. She didn't need to rent a warehouse. Arise.
Thank you, Trisha. Arise. If money comes in UK tomorrow, I'm going to my street. You need to find what you can do, that is righteous to make money. To make money. I remember several years ago, there was economic downturn in the UK, and my husband went and got one job like that. Initially, I was looking at him like, goodness me, this man is going to do this. And he went and he was doing it. He would go every evening and he would come back and tell me, so the place where they posted me today, they had a party. They were dancing like this. They were dancing like that. But you know what? It fed the family. After that, he moved on to another one. He went and he was doing some, construction work and things like that. This man leaves cars. But he went, totally different. And he was working, in a construction site. Nobody on that site will know what he knew how to do, the skills he had. But he was doing that. And then there was a gentleman who needed money. And he approached my husband. And my husband said, well, if you want, I can take you to where I work. He followed my husband one day and he said, no, I'm not cut out for that kind of dirty job. But he contacted me to borrow £3,000. But he cannot do dirty job. The first thing I asked him, I said, how is he going to pay? He cannot do dirty job. He does not have a job. No, now. You need to look at yourself. There's so many things. This bag that you're talking about, Trisha, I went to, I think it was Port Harcourt. Oh, I like to travel posh. And I hated it. When I get to the airport and they're saying, Madam, you are, Madam, you are, it just is really disgusting to me. I would rather not carry any food stuff. And then I found out that there is a store you can go. Rice, Gary, packaged and sealed. Amala, packaged and sealed. With a name on it. Because you see, I hated it when you go to the airport and they're opening the bag and they're, oh God, I can't stand it. And they're putting their hand and saying, what is inside here? I don't know what is in your nails, for goodness sake. And since then, oh God, you need to see me. In fact, I tell them, open the bag. It's all sealed. And you can make money. You can sell using smaller sachet. There was a time I was going to Nigeria. I contacted Lagos Housewife. There is nothing I do not have in this my house. Only spring spice, I have it. And the whatever has a pepper soup, I have it. This one, I have it. Because why? She just went all over the place and got everything sealed and nice. Motoraya, some of the ones you sent are still as they were. I just kept them in a cool, dry place. My children will say, Mom, you've had this for 2 years. Has it not expire? I say, well, you saw crayfish expire somewhere. They don't expire. So, my dear sisters, ideas will come. Money does not smell. That's true. Money doesn't smell. What you do may smell, but money doesn't smell. So, we're back to your Lagos housewife. Thank you so much for that, Trisha. I'm sure some women are going to go with fire in their bones, most especially when you followed it up with scripture. Because this, my sister, they're very spiritual. If you did not put scripture like this, they'll just say that's how they talk on TPJ. Rayo, tell us about bulk cooking and bulk shopping. Bulk. Go ahead, sis.
Okay, yes. This actually, sometimes when I post about bulk and everything, I get some women, they'll tell me, what of we that we don't have money to buy bulk? I simply reply, God will provide in Jesus' name. That is my response. But the thing is, when you buy things in bulk, it actually helps you save money. And we thank God that right now there are a lot of people who do sharing. You can see, they'll say, you can buy, you don't need to know the people you are sharing with. There are some people that will tell you, we have this bag of rice and we can share it for 6 people, for 8 people. So you just pay so amount and it will be delivered to your house and everything. When you buy in bulk, it ends up being cheaper. Then you will always have food stuff available in your house. Instead of that, you want to cook rice, you are saying, go and help me buy 1 derica, go and help me buy 1 milk tin from somewhere. It will simply be available. It will help you plan, it will help you structure. You already know that, okay, when I tried it this first time, I bought rice, I bought beans, I bought that, bought this, and I was able to use it for 3 months. Then next time you are budgeting for 3 months. And in 3 months, the only things you have to buy are like small perishable things, like maybe the leaves that you need to use or things like that. That is buying in bulk. Someone like me, I don't know how to go to market. I don't like market. It is not part of my talents. So I have shoppers, people who shop for me and everything. I just write out the list, tell them what I want. I'll be like, okay, how much are they selling this now? How much is this one now and everything? And then they get back to me with the amount. Okay, whatever I can afford. If I have to remove something or add, I'm able to add something based on how much. I give them the money. They bring it. We pay them little amount, something, they have their own service charge on it, and then you have that in the house. Bulk cooking, thank God, at least for now. Okay, no, let me speak positively. Now light is so much better in many areas of Lagos. I can't speak for other parts, but for Lagos, I know light is so much better. In my area now, we are having like 22 hours lights right now out of 24 hours. So the freezer is there for you. I was showing on my page which day that I was searching in the freezer and I saw a pack of sauce I had actually forgotten there, and I was like, it will come in handy for dinner. When you cook in bulk, it helps you avoid eating unhealthy, because there is always something available that you can cook. And then you don't have to start thinking, or you get back from work, have a busy day. That's when you are like, oh yeah, help me plug the ewedu. Help me put water on fire to do stew that we eat with the ewedu. Things like that can be avoided with bulk cooking. Now, how do you do that bulk cooking? Simply I tell people, have a day. Just clear up one day, any day you have in the month that you can be free and everything, and you can just, but for someone like me, I just set out like one day in a month and I just balance and I cook like 4-5 different soups at the same time. You will see my kitchen looking like a welfare zone, big pots everywhere, all my burners occupied, and I can just make in bulk 5 different soups, and each one of them will cover like five different packs that I will divide it in, because I don't just put it in a big container. I divide it into portions that we can use at once. So I know that the moment we are taking one portion, we are using it at once. And I stock, you want to show? My husband is bringing samples.
Well done, Daddy Konkolo, we're waiting.
Okay, like this is one. Bring the one up there. You can see what I usually do is, so that I can identify which ones they are, I usually use different kind of packs for them. So like this is stew, this is egusi, I have okra, mixed okra there, and things like that. So once we take one portion, I know we're using that one portion. So I'm able to know, okay, 5 different kinds of soups, five in 5 places, that is 25. It covers a long time, because the truth of the matter is we are not going to be using soup every day. There are some days we might not use soup, we might cook other meals. Another thing I do again, like maybe today I just want to like do like maybe a sauce to eat with pasta or something. I make sure that when I cook that sauce, I don't cook for only that day. Since I'm cooking already making sauce to go with pasta, I make sure I cook extra, so that at least there will be like 2 bowls extra. Now that one has added. Another day I want to make pasta, I will not need to be cooking sauce again. I know the sauce is already there. All I have to do is boil the pasta. Sometimes when I make things like yam porridge, if I'm making yam porridge or I'm making beans, what I do is I make sure that if 3 cups of beans is what we will finish, it's impossible, but just using that as example, if 3 cups of beans is what we'll finish, then I can cook maybe 6 cups. And then when I finish cooking it, 3 cups out of it, I separate it into bowls, I put it. On those days when you just sit down, what are we going to eat today? I don't even know what we are going to eat. Okay, let's bring out the beans, let's warm. It's really helps a lot. It's really, and you know, you never know. There are times when things can come in, emergencies can come in and everything, and you're not even available. And all you have to do is call and say, okay, there's a bowl of beans in the freezer. Bring out the beans, warm it, take it with Gary. That will be what you're taking today. It really, really helps. It helps you conserve time. It helps you eat healthy. Then all these issues of saying, I don't, what will the children eat? Even when they're on holidays, they are eating 5 times a day. There's something always available. They can eat that 5 times a day. So that's basically how I cook. I have days I can cook in bulk, but at the same time, when I'm doing my normal regular cooking, all I just do is like make extra that can last 1 or 2 times in addition.
Awesome. Now, I just wanted to ask Lagos housewife, amongst us tonight, you know, are women who are sitting, and their husband is sitting down beside them, and we need to conduct deliverance. Husbands who do not eat today's soup, they work, their wife work. But you see, and they'll tell you, my father never ate yesterday's soup, but their mother never went to work. Okay, but they cannot eat yesterday's soup because apparently it does not taste the same. So from your experience, because sincerely, there are times I don't know, because I don't know if there's a way you can station a station, I don't know what you call it, near my house, where as you are cooking the soup through a tunnel, it is appearing in my kitchen. But it works. But how do you deal with a man who says, I want fresh food? I know for some people it's a spiritual problem, but for those who it is a physical problem, how do you manage it? Because for somebody to say, I cannot eat yesterday's food, but they can wear the same shirt every day for 1 week and they are okay with it, but they cannot eat yesterday's soup. That's how you know there's problem. So please, Ryan, help us.
To me, it's very simple. If you can't eat yesterday's food, it's because you should be able to afford today's food. be prepared to have a full-time housewife whose only job is to be cooking food. And so whatever money she was making as a worker, be prepared to be paying her monthly for cooking that food. That is number one. Number two, get a chef. You should be able to get a chef, Abi. Or number three, we will do it together. Since it's kuku both of us that we eat the food. As you are coming from work, please be branching the market every day. Be buying the things and the preparations, so that when you bring it, the only thing I am going to do is it would have been prepared, the meat would have been cleaned, would have been washed. The only thing I'll do is put it on fire. Very simple. I will always say, how do they say it in Yoruba? It's easy to send someone work that you yourself cannot do. It's very easy. Sometimes I tell people, I say sometimes the best way is to let them handle it themselves. There's this thing I want to do. My husband is looking at me because he knows what I'm about to say. There was when we just had our son, and my son, when he could do this, my husband will be like, the way he grew up, it's you that is supposed to do it. It's you that is supposed to do it. One day I got tired. My son was 3 months. And I just put him down. I gave him to my husband and I left. I went to my best friend's place. I went to her place. She cooked food for me. I ate and I balanced and I slept overnight. By the time he spent that overnight with my son, he never had that issue again of saying, what is there? No, he realized there is more that is there. I tell you, I said, let them handle it themselves. They will understand. They will understand what you are covering.
Hi. Dayo, sincerely, my respect for you has gone one level. Just that thing that you did. On behalf of women worldwide, we congratulate you. You deserve accolades as a result of that, sincerely. You see, as women, we need to understand who we are married to. We need to understand our husbands. And I can say this from a distance, but sincerely, I would do that. I would do that because at times, somebody needs to feel what you're feeling. Some of our husbands think that raising children is very easy. You're managing it all, and grace makes it look so effortless. You're fine. But you see, when you're not fine, like Dr. Tolu told us yesterday, feel free to scream, feel free to run away to a safe place. Raya did not go to her ex-boyfriend's house when she was in secondary school. She went to a Christian lady who fed her and gave her a nice room to sleep. You can do that. You can do that. There are times you just say, I'm coming. I'm coming in Yoruba language means you are going. So just say, I'm coming. But make sure you come back. Oh, that's very important. I just want to flag something up because I know that for a lot of us who are career women, we need to be very careful. Now, we need to balance this issue. Some of us, our household is being fed by women who don't live in our house. Your husband is being fed with food that you order. Somebody can possess the whole of your family through a plate of food. If you do not trust, let me rewind. Before you assign that role to any human being on earth, spiritually investigate them. You must be aware of the source of the food that your family is eating. Spiritually veto it. I've had several incidences that have been brought to me. One that happened about a year ago, a lady called me and said, Omobi, I don't know what is happening. My husband is not eating my food. He's asking, that lady that cooks food, is she? I can pay the money. So the food you are offering your husband is no longer interesting. There is something coming from outside. The words that they spoke onto this seafood okra your husband is eating, do you know what was pronounced onto it? Let's be very careful. We want you to join the soft life gang. We want you to, be glowing and be fresh like me. But please make sure you spiritually investigate what is going into the mouth of your family. The same way you do it in a health manner is the same way you do it in a spiritual manner. Possess the gate of your family, and that includes the food that they eat. Thank you so much for that, Rayo. Next question is for Toye. Now, talking about all the things that we have to do and all the places we have to be, career and everything, a lot of us feel very inadequate about our parenting. Women in particular, we feel like, there's something that has been in our head that, and you have to stay at home as mom and take care of your children. So you start to feel guilty about not being there, about taking your children to a nursery childminder. I was there several years ago. You know what happened? I had my daughter and I had to go back to work when my daughter was just 4 weeks old. And I used to sit down. I was working as a children's doctor in a neonatal unit where they take care of premature babies. So I used to go into the nursing mothers' rooms in that neonatal unit. All the mothers are expressing, I joined them. And I used to express and then take it home over the weekend and freeze it so that my daughter could have some of my milk. But you know what? I felt so bad. For the first few weeks, it was like, oh, Mobola, what is happening to you? And I'm sure there's probably a woman here tonight. You've had to go back to work early to support your family, financially. Tony, what do you have to say to them?
Thank you for this question. I believe it's one that is on the heart of God. Even as you were speaking, shivers were going down my down my skin, because truly I was also in that position. And I say it's dear to God's heart, because one of the things He doesn't want us to be at all is guilty. The Word of God says there is therefore now no condemnation. We are the ones who condemn ourselves. And let me just paint a picture. If there was no reference point, if there was, if there were no stay-at-home mothers, for instance, working mothers wouldn't feel guilty. The only reason you are feeling guilty is because you are comparing. So and so, I know so and so for 6 months. She was at home with her baby, exclusively breastfed. Here I am, rushing. I'm thinking back to my days where Okada was my my mainstay to have to go and feed my. So I had mentioned earlier, in searching for a nursery, make sure it's close by. So it was close to my office, but I would get calls and they're like, the breast milk you have expressed is finished. And I was so determined I was going to do exclusive. At 4 months, the nursery people called me and said, Madam, there's nothing wrong with formula. We can see you are stressed. And of course, when you are stressed as a breastfeeding mother, the milk won't even flow, And for all sorts of reasons, there were Saturdays I had to go to work. I'm stepping out, my baby is crying because she doesn't want me to go. And the guilt will descend. And it's amazing how long I carried that guilt for, even when she was much older. It was one Holy Communion service in church I can never forget, a Saturday morning, when my pastor was preaching, and he mentioned how some of us, the guilt we are carrying, it's not that you've murdered anybody, it's not that you've killed anybody, but it's weighing you down. And that was when I realized I actually had guilt, that I was out of the house working when my child needed me, as it were. We paint also, so you can sit down from, you expect, mothers worry a lot, so you just sit down and you paint a picture of how, if you were there. Who says if you were there, your child would be finer than, when you are not there? So the first thing is stop the comparison. It doesn't help. It doesn't. The second thing is know that, and I've said this before because I heard Mama Omobi say it, you are the best mother your child can have. And when God gave him or her to you, He knew you were going to be a working mother. God didn't, it's not just stay-at-home mothers that get pregnant, So at the end of the day, you are working, you are doing what you're supposed to do at that time for a reason, for various reasons, and you need to just ditch that guilt. Because who brings guilt? It's not God, it's not the Holy Spirit. They are not the ones making you feel bad about whatever situation you're painting about yourself. It's the devil who brings guilt and condemnation. So why are you accepting the gift of guilt? It's very important, because one of the things that happens when you're walking around with guilt is you cannot even lift up your head. It's such a weight that you're not lifting up your head to see the good things happening around you. Working mothers, you have experiences that your children will be better off for because you are a working mother. You travel, you come back with mementos of places. You are telling your children about places you've been to. You are creating curiosity and excitement within them. But if you feel guilty about it, your eyes will not even see the benefits of what it is you are doing. And there are many, and it doesn't matter what it is. There are people who've been sitting in their houses when their children had accidents. So it's not your presence there that would change anything. God is the one who takes care of our children. As long as you know you're walking in the path and the purpose of God for your life, please ditch the guilt. God doesn't want you feeling guilty. I know I'm speaking to quite a number of mothers, this evening. Your guilt isn't doing anything. The Bible says, which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to your head? Which of you by worrying you're worrying in the office and your baby is at home? What is the worrying doing? Is your hand extended, all the way from your office to the home, calming the baby? No. And your baby will be fine. So my first daughter is 15 years now. When I look at her, I'm like, wow, I know that I'm not the one that raised her. God did, and at the end of the day, guilt served me. It just made me feel bad about myself. That's all it did. It didn't serve any useful purpose. So please, guilt is a tool the enemy uses to keep mothers down and in the dumps and depressed and just have all those negative emotions come on you. What God wants for you is for you to be a joyful mother. For you to be, sorry, please let me just add one more thing. Because one of the things I realized was when that weight of guilt was lifted, my head was up and I now felt more confident in my abilities as a mom. I had them before, they were there all the while. But because guilt was weighing me down, I couldn't see them. But then I realized I was, by God's grace and with God's help and with the support of people around me, I was doing a good job. I felt guilty because my first daughter, she was a picky eater. When I look at the pictures from way back, and I'm like, she was a picky eater, but she didn't look bad. Then I would say, comparison. Somebody has 4 children. All their children are looking very chubby. My own, I have only one. I can't even take care of her properly. But I look back at pictures now and I'm like, why was I ever worried? Why was I ever guilty? Why? Please don't allow the enemy to keep you down. You are the best mother for your child. You are able to do an exceeding beautiful job. With God's help, your children will be fine. They will turn out beautifully well. You would look at them and thank God for their lives. Ditch the guilt. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tony. I'm sure you could see Omolade clapping there. And that is the reality of it. We're talking about career. I'm going to pause and talk about ministry because I'm right in the middle of this. And when God has given you a ministry like mine, you have to balance a lot of things. You have to balance family, you have to balance exposure, you have to balance many things. And for a while, I used to ask my children, what do you think about my frequent travels? Yesterday, it was Dr. Koye who was talking to us about our children, asking for their opinion. Really early, I would ask my children, what do you think? I mean, my daughter has got all my travel plans on her phone. And anywhere I'm going, she checks the exact time zone so that she can know when to talk to me and things like that. And in ministry, I'm still asking, did I tell you, is it in your diary that I'm going away to this place? And I ask them separately so that nobody will influence the other. What do you think about my frequent travel? Do you think you're missing anything because I'm not here? Because parenting is not just about the little babies. It's also about the adult. Do you feel like I'm there for you? I had specific prayer requests that I made of God. I've got a teenage daughter. And I asked the Lord years ago, I said, Lord, whatever it is going to cost you and heaven. When my daughter starts her period, I must be near her. I asked God, I said, no matter what is going to cost you, I must be near her. As in, I know she's well-versed. I know I've spoken. I mean, I've taught her what she needs to do. She knows where everything is. We had the pack in the school bag. Everything was sorted, but I need to be there. And God granted me that request. I mean, you can imagine how my diary is. I was home. And I say, yes, Lord. And that is how God feels about your success, about your parenting. You can ask God. You can tell God. You can ask God, this job, I'm having to travel often. Can you bring me closer home? You can ask God about that. If you need to amend the hours you work, you can ask God about that. You can ask God about all these things. It is important that you know that, look, you are an employee of God when it comes to raising your child. So why are you bearing all the weight all by yourself? God employed you to help him raise that destiny. So ask him and speak to him about it. It's so important. Omalade, we're going to have you next. So, having heard all of this and knowing you, my dear sister, in the Lord, you're a very career-minded woman. Hey, I've met many busy people, but I don't know if any one of them beats you. But I know. I think I don't even know how to describe you, but you shall be fine. There was a time I put a ban on you. I said, you are not allowed. You are relocating to a new country. You must not join. You must not serve in any capacity in your church. Just focus on family. Irony. By the time I got an email from the church to come and minister, I saw the person that signed it. It was already. I said, it has finished. So how do you... God bless you. I just say that. Amen. How do you balance career, family, ministry, marriage? How do you bring them all together and make it run so smoothly with a bit of red lipstick? It's usually fine. How do you manage? We need to know.
You already rounded up the answer. With a bit of red lipstick, everything is perfect. But that's actually a very good question, and it's a question I get over and over and over and over again. Let me start by saying that I don't know it all, but I've lived this for quite a number of years, and I have tips on how you can make things balance. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, it's very clear. For everything there is a season, and there is a time for every single thing under heaven. That has been my balance watchword. Defining time for every season, defining time for every obligation, defining time for me. That's the foundation of balancing. Because at the end of the day, when you talk about balancing, it's ensuring that, the weight is not skewed towards different parts, at the expense of the other part, to the detriment of the other part. You're trying to ensure that, your family is not suffering because of, your desire to work in the corporate environment, because of your desire to do the work of the ministry, or because of your desire for self-care. And on the other hand, you're also trying to make sure that, an organization that has employed you and is investing in you and is paying you are not being shortchanged because of your focus on, family, your husband, your children, or yourself. And most importantly, you want to ensure that your self-care, your investment in yourself as a woman, as a child of God, first and foremost, before being a wife, before being a mother, before being a minister, before being an employee, before being a manager, before being a business owner, you want to ensure that your investment in yourself is not suffering. So how do you do this? I started by saying already, time. Define your time. Track unprofitable time. Look, a lot of times when women complain about, I can't do A, B, C, D, ask them for 1 week, track your time. Many times we have phones. Everybody has a phone. Many people don't even use the calendar on their phone. If I ask someone now, are you available at a particular, they can't tell you. They can't tell you what is happening in the next 1 or 2 days. They can't tell you what they are planning to do in the next 1 or 2 days. How then will you be able to have the right balance if you are not sure if your focus tomorrow is for ministry commitment or for work commitment or for your family or for your husband? So the first thing is, as a woman, be able to track your time and assign your time. The first thing is tracking, because it's when you track that you identify the pockets of unprofitable time. And let me tell you, we all have some pockets of unprofitable time. Let's be very honest with ourselves. You track it. So you plan your time. Once you plan your time, we have 24 hours in a day. But when you plan your time, you're not focusing just on the day. You're focusing on daily, weekly, monthly, and then in seasons. In a year, how much of a break do you have for yourself? Let's start from planning that time. So for my me time, how much time do I need, on a weekly basis to recharge? How much time do I need on a monthly basis to recharge? How much time do I need on an annual basis to recharge? That is one. the season of life that my children are in, at this point in time, and the timing you would need to dedicate for your family, a lot of times is influenced by the season of life. So if you've just been married a year, 2, you're still trusting God, you want to have babies, or you're just having babies and they're new, young children, you need to invest a lot more time in getting that right balance vis-a-vis investing the time in work. But as you're growing, your children are becoming a bit more independent. They don't need you to be able to feed them. You can invest, you can shift your time a little bit to dedicate more, towards your career vis-a-vis your home. So what influences a lot of times is then the season of life you are in, the season of life that your family is in. Let me say something, that time is finite. Oh no, rather, actually, time is infinite. We are the ones that are, we are limited by, the time we can split 24 hours. That's all you can do. Time would continue, but you cannot go beyond, your own, your skills or your capacity in that time. Now, when I talk about planning your time, use the calendar. Make it your, make it part of you. I use my calendar to plan something as simple as Bible study time with children. When my children were younger, I put it in so they know no matter what meeting I'm in, especially during COVID, when we're working from home, and then you tend to just keep doing it and keep on doing it. I put it there. This is the time, Bible study with my kids. This is the time, lunchtime. A few weeks ago, I was in a meeting and there was another meeting supposed to start. It was an impromptu one, but it was sort of an emergency. And then my boss said, oh, can you join? I said, I actually booked this time for dinner with my family. I can't. Can I catch up with you? Unfortunately, they couldn't reschedule that meeting. I'm like, can I catch up with you later for, to catch up on that? There were times where I had to, sort of say, I can't make dinner because I have to prioritize this. But because I'm able to define the right seasons, I know when I prioritize. I know when it is important for me to keep my word to my children when I say Mom is going to be available for this. So let me put it in the structure. Make time your friend. Plan your time. Track on profitable time. Plan me time. That's always your starting point. In the airplane, if there's going to be a crash, the first thing they say is put on your oxygen mask before helping others. So the first thing in planning your time is plan your me time. How much time do I need in order to be able to function effectively in these areas? And then after that, you evaluate your time, check your weekly schedule. The next thing is work smarter, not harder, not longer. Lagos Housewife has told us about bulk cooking. Sister Tonya has told us about finding helps, who are actually helps, not burdens, right? Sister Trisha has already told us about, investing in also, side businesses that can bring additional income that can free up a little bit more of your time. So once you have all those, work smarter, not harder or not longer. The next thing is have defined patterns. In balancing work, ministry, and life, you need to have defined patterns. Dr. Mobi would say, what time can we reach you? But she actually knows then, these are my peak times, these are my off-peak times. And when you define your patterns, be vocal about it. There were seasons in my life, when because of church work, people would call. I had, this phone and that phone. I was admin. I was doing this in my corporate environment. I was TPJ. I was, my phone will ring. If it doesn't ring, WhatsApp messages would come in. My friends joke about it that, on my WhatsApp status, it's written there, expect delayed replies. Because I needed to now set boundaries. I discovered that even when I'm not working, even when I'm not in church, even when I'm not in ministry, I'm actually not fully there for my family because people are still reaching me via the phone. So what do? I set boundaries. You want to chat with me, expect, delayed replies. There is no emergency. Your emergency is not my emergency, right? There might be, let's be honest, there might be some emergencies, but a lot of times what people call emergencies, luckily for me, I'm not a doctor. So it's not like my emergency will cause someone to die immediately. It's not a matter of life and death. So when I actually dedicate the time, when I plan my time, I know this is for my husband, this is for my children, I make sure I'm 100% there. When I am at work, I am 100% there. Wherever you are in your assigned time, be 100% available. You cannot function effectively when you are at work and you are thinking, I have to teach Digging Deep tomorrow. What is the word I have to share? Hey, what will my children eat for dinner tonight? Oh, hey, what will I? You are not giving 100% in any sphere. And let me tell you, it shows, it comes true. You are in a meeting, your mind is not there. Hey, my husband cannot eat bulk food or his daily food. Who will go to the market for me? Hey, have I booked my massage? it is obvious to the people that you're talking with that you are not 100% there. So when you plan your time, make sure that in that time you have planned, you are 100% committed to what you have to deliver within that time frame. Be it cooking, be it parenting. You cannot be parenting. You know, Sister Tony can bear me witness. You cannot be parenting, and it's at that time you are thinking, "Chai, I have a deliverable at work. I have to send this file," and then you are using one hand to tell, you know, I'm helping my daughter with homework, and I'm using, Chai, I have to do this. No, one thing I do with, you know, that has helped me really is that whatever I'm committed to do, when I'm doing it, I'm 100% tied to it. When I'm done, I move to the next list. After this program, I have something else on the agenda, but it is one after the other. And the other thing I want to talk about in balancing life and ministry, you know, life, careers, parenting. Sister Tony already spoke about it. Don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. You steal your present joy because of a future that your worrying or your comparison cannot change. The biggest thing when I say be 100% present in your now is that find joy. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated as a mother. You'll be frustrated as a wife. You'll be frustrated as a worker because you're not 100% enjoying each of that aspect of your life. I love walking. Dr. Bobby, you know, she can testify to that. I love walking. I'm not a workaholic. As much as I love walking, oh my Lord, I love self-care. I love traveling. When I need to pamper myself, I invest in pampering myself. It's non-negotiable. Everybody knows me. I have my pampering days. At the same time, I love my children. When I spend time with them, they know it's all about them. It's quality, not so much the quantity of time. I don't have all the time, but when I spend the time with them, I'm 100% invested in them in the now. I'm not sitting down and comparing that, this my other friend's daughter, you know, she knows how to kneel down on two knees to greet, you know, especially for mothers that are in the diaspora. There is always that inclination to be thinking, am I imbibing the culture? Oh, another person's family, they are doing more, you know, cultural parts. Their children are respectful. I think it was Sister that spoke about that, you know, and then you start comparing. And when you do that, you lose the strength or the joy in your present. And above all, let me just end with these two things. I know my time is fully up. Set boundaries. Set boundaries at work. Set boundaries in ministry. Set boundaries in your family. And set boundaries for yourself. I already told you part of my boundaries. WhatsApp, calls. When it's a certain time, my phone goes to do not disturb. It's preset. It goes to do not disturb. There are only a very few people that can break my do not disturb, and I've actually set them there. My husband, my mother, my sister. I preset them. They can overturn it. Any other thing, it's do not disturb. This is me time. This is my husband and me time. Ministry, at a particular phase, I told them at church, I am only, and I still do it till now. You know, the people I work with in ministry know. I tell them I'm available between, I give you a time frame, right? I'm available between 1 and 3 p.m. If that doesn't work for you, we can make another day work. But I'm not going to then say, oh, now can I make it at 3:30? I'm sorry, I already have another commitment at 3:30. Same with the kids. I know the time they're finishing from school. I know their weekly activities, right? I plan my time and I tell them, okay, if you finish your weekly activity at this time, we can hang out at this amount of time. The boundaries are clear. We make the boundaries work. My kids know when I'm done working, don't come and disturb mommy. They're already older, so they can manage a lot of things themselves. The next thing is build an extended community. Find your support where needed. When my kids were younger, I had a live-in helper. I had the privilege of having a live-in helper. But, you know, one of the things I did is what Lagos has already said. I do a lot of bulk cooking. I do the shopping. I used to do the shopping, but I had someone living in who does all the prep. And then I come in as the savior that I am. I cook. When I'm done cooking, I walk away, they pack it. But then my kids got used to, and it's really helped when we then moved from, you know, Dubai and then back down to Sydney. Go into the freezer or the fridge. Mommy is not available. Go and make something for yourself.
Awesome.
So build an extended family, build support, make life easy. Don't pound yam when you can use food processor, and invest in resting. Women. Mr. Mobi, I don't know if you notice those a lot. Sometimes we glorify suffering. If it is not enough, we think it's not good enough. God forbid.
We discussed it this morning. Olade, thank you. I'm sure nobody would have any extra question on this issue as you've dealt with it, but I want to drop this here, okay? Women, If you're here and you have daughters, you need to teach your girls to enjoy life. Teach them early to enjoy life. Teach saying it. The picture I have in front of me is a picture of my girl and my friend's girls. We went to a spa and they wouldn't allow the children to go inside. So they created space for them outside. All of them were lying down there with, I don't know how many centimeters tall they were, with cucumber on their eyes. And, they were really pretending. Well, I'm sure they were having fun. But you see, all of us are boasting about how our mothers suffered. I don't want transference of evil suffering. I don't want. There is no way you get an award for how long you suffered. We heard that this morning. Teach your daughter to enjoy. Hey, teach them. You see, when your daughter is already enjoying going for massage, knows what it means to take a girl's break, the man she meets, in the point of saying, oh, I was wondering if we can hang out this weekend. Oh, I'm hanging out with my girls. Wait, I'm hanging out with my girls this weekend. Can we meet? He already heard that you have girls. He already heard that. Look, your 22-year-old is telling the man who is coming that, look, my girls are really important. So when an abuser is surfacing her, the abuser is knowing that, look, this girl has got girls around her. It is a snake that is isolated that gets punished easily. Teach your daughter to enjoy life. Take them to where you are being pampered. Let them see that you got your down moments. Teach them how to do it. I was sharing with you on social media a while ago. We took our daughter shopping. The mothers were at the back. Our duty is to make sure that whatever they choose is sensible and godly. But they were free to roam in front of us. Every time you are telling your children that, look, you can't have it. You don't have to have a million.
Yeah.
Teach them to have little pleasures. It's so important. Little pleasures. See, we're going to buy for ourselves, just us, just me and you. We're just going to buy for ourselves something nice. You have 150 naira. I have 250 just because I go to work and I earn money. That's fine. Share it. Let her look forward to it. Let her tell her friends about that. It's so important. Because why? The people who attended the last Coventry conference, I told them, if you want to join soft little girls life gang, come and join us. There are ways we do it. There are many countries. For instance, if you live in the US, even if you live in Nigeria, plan a holiday, a short holiday. Take you and your daughter, a Lagos housewife, you and your son, and people who have sons. Carry your children. Who is daddy? Daddy can stay at home and watch TV. Nobody will argue with the remote control. He will be happy. Let him stay at home. Take your children, just go. And remember there was one. I'll say this and then I'll ask the next question to Trisha. We planned a girls' getaway for our girls. So I told my daughter, I said, so that we can get to the airport on time, I'll come and pick you up from school. The whole, I don't know how many people heard it. By the time she got back to school on Monday, in fact, my weekend has been so busy. How old was she then? Probably 7, 8. In fact, I went straight from class to the airport and then came back straight. It is a feel-good thing. So please don't teach our daughters suffering. Teach them. Yes, go ahead. Little gratifications. They matter a lot.
Very, very important for our daughters, but also most importantly for our boys. Model it to them. Those of you bringing up sons, model it to them. Normalize it for them. I take my daughter when I need to do my nails, I like the pampering, right? So when she's on holiday, we go together. But I discovered that my son only, I focus on, oh, mommy, you guys have done this. He's not participating in this. So in his brain, he's also thinking it's just a woman thing. So if he gets married, he's going to think he's doing his wife a favor. Guess what I do? I book facials. They come to the house. He's more comfortable at home than going to a place where he thinks is for women. So I book facials. They come home, all of us, including him. The first time he was like, hey, Mommy, I thought this was a girl thing. No, self-care is not a girl thing. Self-care is an everybody thing.
Oh
I
God.
told him, you want to have a pedicure. I book them, they come to the house. He gets comfortable with that. So model it. Now, you know, there was a day, a friend of mine was making fun of me. I sat with my kids. We were just playing, you know, when you're having fun. I said, how many of these designer brands can you identify? And we started having a game. And I'm like, can you go and check online how much it is being sold? So you know the kind of work. When you're thinking of the career path, you have to think of the kind that can give you the kind of money so you can afford this kind of lifestyle. I tell them this is the lifestyle you need to be able to afford it. So modeling it for your girls is very important. It's not just telling them you can't, if you're not enjoying, how will your daughter enjoy now?
Indeed.
I have to buy you. Women will go shopping with 100,000 naira. They'll spend 99,000 on home items. Kilo day.
Yes. I don't know what they need deliverance. So they need deliverance.
Children, house. What did you buy for yourself?
No, just a pair of black trousers. That is fine.
Or black mascara.
I remember the last time the first time I took my son for a pedicure, it was so funny. I mean, we had to have like a meeting. He says, what do I expect? I said, nothing. Just go there. And it was so funny because the day we went there, the salon was so busy and it was all women. And then he walks in and they say, what would you like to do? I would like to do some pedicure. And everybody turned and they were like, who on earth was that? But that's the reality. If your boys know how to take care of themselves, they're less likely to complain about their wives taking care of themselves. So please raise good men for our girls. I'm already shortlisting. I'm shortlisting, you know. Thank you so much for that, Omalade. Our next question is for Trisha. So Trisha, what are the do's and don'ts of successful businesses and enterprises?
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. If you want to run a business, first of all, you must separate the business from yourself. Except if you're running the business to survive, right? And even if you're running the business to survive, you don't eat up all your profit. Keep something aside. The principle of 20%, the Joseph principle, keep something aside. But if you're running a business, especially as a side hustle or as a main business, you're trying to build a company, you're trying to build a business, separate yourself from the business. Get an account, even if it's shoe and bag you're selling, get an account dedicated for that business. Get your business registered. If you get your business registered, that is you are positioning your business for opportunities. You are positioning your business for investors. You are telling your customers that you are a serious business person. Not that I want to make a transfer. I want to buy a hair from you or whatever, and I'm trying to make a transfer. I'm sending me Trisha Famorio as the bank name. It sends the wrong signal. So separate yourself from the business. The business is an entity, and you are a separate entity. Register your business. Keep proper record. Keep proper record of your transaction. Keep proper record of the money that goes out and for what. The reason why most of the bank apps have description is not for decoration, right? Write it, printing, money for clearing of your goods or whatever. Make sure that there are description and keep proper records. There are many apps out there that you could use to keep proper records. It tells you how much of your inventory you have sold. It tells you how much you have sold in the last 1 month. It tells you even the profits you have made, your markup, and all of that. There are some of these apps that makes things simple these days. You have everything just in one app. One of those apps is OZ. The other app is Invoice, Wave by Invoice or Invoice by Wave, one or something like that. Then I know about OZ too, OZE. So these apps helps you generate receipts. So you could use these apps to keep your records. So anything anybody buys from you, you generate a receipt and send to the person. Also, avoid collecting cash as much as possible. Make sure that your payments are usually in transfers or in checks, depending on the volume of the transaction. Avoid collecting cash because you sold bag to someone, on your way home you branch to buy tomato. Just like Mama just mentioned, we don't think about ourselves. We're always thinking about, okay, what do we need at home and all of that. You cannot grow your business like that. Then have a business. Okay, before I go there, before I get to my next point, keeping your business money in one place helps you plan, helps you project, helps you understand how your business is doing. Bi-weekly, you could go to your app or print out your statement and look at your books. It also helps you to expand. Now, your business profits, like I mentioned earlier, except you are running a business to survive, your business profit is not to eat. I bought this phone, say 100,000, and I want to sell it for 130 or 140,000 naira. And I'm being paid 140,000 naira. You won't say yay and go pick up the 40,000 naira profit and blow it, and you can't grow that way. Now, your profit is your revenue is 140,000 naira. That is your capital, your profit, and everything is inside 140,000 naira. Next time you're going to buy another to stock up, you are buying another phone for 100,000 naira. Your 40,000 naira, it might not buy you another phone. It can buy you a phone that is less expensive, or you can decide to buy accessories. That is how a business grows. So when you sell your profit, you add it and you keep expanding. Never ever eat the profit of your business unless it gets to the third or fourth generation. Let me explain what that means. When I sell this phone and I make 140,000 naira, I'm not expected to spend the 40,000 naira. I reinvest it. That is the first generation. And perhaps I make a revenue of 180,000 naira. I reinvest 180,000 naira. I might get 240,000 naira. I reinvest 240,000 naira. Then the profit I made, I can now give myself a treat out of it. So never spend the profit in your business unless it gets to the third or fourth generation. So when you hear some people say, oh, I started my business with 1,000 naira and now it has grown, it is not, they're not just being motivational speakers like we like to make it look. It's true. So never spend the profit of your business unless you get to the third or fourth generation. Then have a business plan and projection for growth of your business, not just anywhere belle face. As you are just saying, you are selling this, you are selling that. Have a business plan, no matter how small your business is. Most of us, we know of a young woman on Instagram that is selling bags. This woman sells bags in their thousands. I was watching her when she started selling these bags. Right now, she sells bags in thousands. When you see her sorting out orders, it's everywhere, right? No matter, you don't have to have a manufacturing plant or a manufacturing business or something really humongous before you have a business plan and projection. I'm bringing in, or I'm selling, or my capital is 500,000 naira. Have a projection. By December, I want this capital to have grown to 1 million naira. Then what do I have to do to make this capital to grow to 1 million naira? I need to sell at least 5 products every day. Now, what do I need to do to sell 5 products every day? I need to run Facebook ads, I need to advertise, I need to call people, I need to do Google ads, whatever. So have projection. With that, you have a workable plan. You have something you are working towards. You are not just selling to survive. That is how to grow a business. Then I'll mention this: do not leave your job until your business can make at least 2 times what you earn. A lot of people, your boss just annoys you and you just want to resign and just go and start your own, and and until you, and by the time you leave, you're now faced with reality. If you are planning to go solo, if you are planning to become a business owner, you want to resign or whatever, make sure that you do not leave your job until your business begins to make at least 2. It's still a side hustle, it's not a main business, until your business begins to make at least double of what you earn. Then if you want to start a business, make sure you say you want to open a shop, you want to start a school, you want to start a salon, you want to start a spa or whatever. Make sure you have at least 6 months of expenses down before you start. In the first 1 week, no one might walk into your shop or your office. So how do you pay salary? How do you buy fuel? Right? So make sure you have at least 6 months of your expenses. Also, know your target. Know your target. I have a clothing brand. My target is a high-end suit. So my target is HNIs. Know your target. It helps you niche down. It helps you concentrate in marketing. Then don't assume there is a demand for your product and just jump into a business. A lot of us do this, and I am also guilty. I was also guilty. You want to start selling bags, and in your head, I know Mama Omobi will buy bag from me, she will patronize me. I know Sister Toyin will patronize me. I know this person will patronize me, and then you are calculating on people's money while they are in their houses, and you are hoping that they'll be your customers. Never assume there's a demand for your product. So if and sometimes we go into business with this mindset. So after they buy this product, they will not use the bag, for instance, every day. They will not buy bag every day. So after these people you are projecting buy bags from you, what do you do with your remaining bag? And then I've experienced a situation where somebody was actually starting a business with me in mind, and I don't like laces, and I did not buy the lace, and the person became angry. I started keeping malice with me. I don't like laces. So never assume there's a demand for your product. Do a market survey before you begin any business. Also, never confuse cash flow with profit. If you're running a business where people are coming to pay, let's say you're running a pharmaceutical business or a salon or whatever, and you are seeing money every day, it is not profitable. I was interviewing someone one day, and I asked the person that, okay, why do you want to work here? I was interviewing the person for my pharmaceutical business. I said, why do you want to work here? And the person says, oh, because pharmaceutical business is profitable. I said, how do you know it's profitable? He said, because the former place where he worked, he sees the volume of transaction his boss does every day. I was like, wow. So that's how a lot of staff look at it, and that's how a lot of us look at it. You are seeing the volume of transaction. The capital is in that volume you are seeing, right? Overhead cost is in that volume you're seeing. Your salary is in that volume you're seeing. So even you as a business owner, never confuse cash flow with profit. Always have your book, so you know if that money is coming in every day does not mean you're making profit, right? So okay, I've mentioned this: never spend the first, second, and third generation of your profit. Then set your eyes on the goal. You just began a business and it looks like the business is booming, and this person that is also doing that business just launched an SUV and you want to also launch. Your paths are different, your journey is different, your fight in life is different. Set your eyes on the goal. Set your eyes on the goal. I think that'll be all for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tricia. Thank you for that. Now I want to add something to what Trisha's said. She said quite a lot, and I mean I've just gleaned quite a lot from that. Use the free resources you have. Facebook, has Facebook ad, but you don't pay to advertise on your own wall. If people can read you sharing, what is the name of this daddy that is always giving people free money? I don't remember his name. If you can share Sheyilo, if you can share any one of these people, why are you not sharing your services on your wall? You can. Yes, there is Google ad, but you need money to pay for Google ad. But you need money to pay for Facebook ad. I saw something on the internet about 6 months ago. I just started laughing out loud. My husband said, "What's that?" I said, "Look, I've just seen one of the dumbest things on the internet." A lady put on her wall and said, "I haven't been this area for a long time. One of the things you people don't know about me is that I design flyers." I said, "What? You design flyers?" So I went, hey, God help me, Holy Spirit help me. Oh, it's my free time I was using to do that investigation. I went and checked our friends list. About 2,900 friends. They are not aware that you can make flyers. And you are going to church to sow a seed to take you to the next level. No wonder you have been missing the train departing for the next level. Because right there on your wall is somebody who will recommend you to somebody who will give you a project of 5,000 flyers to design. If you're doing something, why do your friends not know that you do it? Or you think social media is just for following gossip, or it's for looking at who is shaking something? TikTok is only for that. I say, look, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing on the internet, on social media, I probably would not have been there. Just use what is free. One day I went to a church in Lagos, and we held a meeting, and and somebody, the pastor of the church asked the person who introduced us and said, "So where does she advertise all this her meeting? The hall is packed. Where I advertise meeting? Grace of God plus my wall. If I eat spaghetti, it is none of your business. Once in a while, I share holiday picture. There are times I don't want to share holiday picture. But when you come to my wall, you will see what my life is all about. Your friends on Facebook, do they know what your life is all about? Do they know that you can make cornrows in your sleep? You think it's only for your WhatsApp group of a clique of 5 friends? No. Use the free resources that are available to you. It will save you a lot of money. Okay? If you must see my profile, you must see what I do. And then I will beg you, once in a while, I will come and blackmail you and say you are not nice because you did not share my flyer. It is normal for me to do that. If you are my friends list, it's a privilege. Let me use it properly. I use you to advertise what God is using me to do. So feel free to use the free resources that you have. Your status. Some people are always looking, hey, that girl, we were in secondary school together. When they check your status, let them see that you sell hair. If they're checking your status, make it worthwhile for them. Use the free things that are available to you. Rayo, we are heading for you next too. Now, this is the moment a lot of people have been waiting for. Somebody like me. Shop Life Gang, I'll prefer if somebody can make food, cut yam, do everything, and the machine brings it to my table. What are the 6 key gadgets a woman must have if they don't want to die young?
Yes. Okay. I like this one very, very well. Number one, let me just tell you. So, there was a day I was cooking in my kitchen and, using my kitchen gadgets. This one was on, that one was on. And the Holy Spirit just spoke up and he said, "Why do I give you these things?" In my mind, I was like, because I like them. He was asking, why do you think I give you kitchen gadgets? I said, because I like them. And he laughed. And he said one thing. He said, no. He said, yes, you like them, but that's not just it. He said, number one, he said, for redeeming time. He said, for redeeming time. He said, do you know the amount of time it saves you because you have these things? He said, time is the currency of life, and having these things helps you redeem time. He said, number two, it makes you more efficient. you are more efficient in doing things that need to be done. He said, number 3, it helps you focus on the important things of your life. Because you've saved time, you're more efficient, you are now able to focus on your family, the ministry, and everything. He said, then number 4. He says, so that you will teach my people these things. He says, so that they can also redeem time, can be more efficient, and will be able to focus on the important things in their lives. And I was like, oh, okay. I never actually thought of that. I was just like, Holy Spirit gives me air fryer because I like air fryer. It's more than that. So, number 1, blender. Please, every single home at this point must have a blender, a solid, good blender that can blend beans, that can blend pap, that can blend pepper, that can blend because still going out to blend outsiders this time, it's an inconvenience. It is wasting your time. And number 2, have you seen the things inside those machines they used to blend? The same person that came to blend pap, they'll be using it to blend your pepper, and they'll be using, as in, blender is the number 1, a solid blender. And I always tell people, if you're going to have a blender, try as much as possible to make sure it's a blender that comes with a dry mill, because you're also going to need to be blending dry things. Try to get one that has a dry mill. If you can't get one that has a dry mill, when you buy a blender, know that the next thing you are targeting is a dry blender. So that one, I'll put it as 1. Number 2, we know the thing that is raining now, air fryer. Oh Lord. In fact, I mentioned recently, I said I'm falling in love with my air fryer all over again, especially as in many of you don't know, when my son was in primary school, his school was a walking distance from our house. So I'm not someone that likes waking up in the morning. I do a lot of things in the night. I'm very active in the night, and then I sleep close to around that kind 3. I would have slept early, like 9, then I wake up like 12, and I might be awake up to 4:30, and then I'll sleep back. Now, expecting me to wake up 5:30 again no, it's not me. So I sleep in the morning. My husband just handles the breakfast, takes him to school. Then me, when I wake up, that's when I now make school lunch, and we take it to him in school. But now that he started secondary school, his school is a bit farther. It's still not too far, but the school doesn't allow all this breaking them so that they'll come and collect food or do this thing. They don't really allow that. They said there's a what do they call it in school? There's a cafeteria in school where they can buy food. No, I'm not going to allow him to buy food, or he brings his food from home. So waking up early now is now non-negotiable. And my air fryer has been amazing. If you know the many things I do with it from scratch, as in what I just do. As I told you, I do a lot of things in bulk. I'll even make like burger bread, make it in bulk and put it in the freezer. Then I'll just make the burger patties, the everything. And then what I just do is when I just get up, or maybe when I'm about to sleep around that kind of 4:30, I'll just kind of take the bread, wrap it in parchment paper, take the patty, do this, add the tomato, add this thing, put it in the air fryer, set the time, go and sleep. Once it's done, it will go off by itself and everything, and then they can sort that out. I do things from scratch. The other time, all I did was I just potatoes. Before my girl closed for the day, she had already peeled and cut the potatoes, put it in water, and then I'd already marinated the chicken and put it in the fridge. And then I just woke up and went to the air fryer, seasoned the potato, poured it in the air fryer, put the other rack, put the marinated chicken on top, and I just set the time. Chicken and potatoes is ready to take to school. Before you know, as in, it's so convenient. Instead of standing over gas, doing this and doing that, it can warm food, it can bake, it can cook food. You can just toss in everything and just forget it and everything. You can make pizza in it. I just put the flatbread, pour the things on it, set it, and just walk away and go continue my sleep. They will sort out themselves for that one. And it's such a convenient. I will advise you, get an air fryer. To me, blender and air fryer, most important. Then yes, a food processor. Get a food processor. We've already mentioned it. Why would you be pounding yam when a food processor can do that for you? But it can do so much more. All that time you are spending cutting okra, food processor will sort that out for you. All that time you are spending cutting ugu, cutting bitter leaf, food processor will sort that out for you. It's as in just toss it in where it takes seconds, as in literally seconds, and your diced veggies are ready. Your diced this thing. I'm someone that I like taking salad a lot. I don't need to start cutting the what do they call it? The carrot, cutting the lettuce, cutting the this thing. I just toss it in the food processor, press chop. It will do the chopping. It's ready. Everything is ready. It's so convenient. So now I've mentioned blender, and that's with a dry meal. I've mentioned air fryer. I've mentioned food processor. Another thing I will mention again, especially for those of you who like bread, get a bread maker. Apart from the convenience, you know what is inside your bread. You do not want to know the preservatives that are inside bread, especially in Nigeria. Things that NAFDAC have shouted and shouted and shouted, but these people will still find a way to eat it. And we know how children love bread, how many parents even take it as a convenience. Oh, there's nothing to eat. Go and help me buy bread. Yeah, let him just take bread and tea. See, let me tell you, the only work you have to do with the bread maker is to measure your ingredients. Measure it, pour it inside, press your button, the type of bread. Is it French bread? Is it whole wheat bread? Is it sandwich bread? Is it whatever kind of bread? You just press it. How dark do you want it? Dark crust, light crust. Select it. And you walk away. The next time you will hear anything is pa, pa, pa. Your bread is ready. In fact, I do it a lot, especially for Sunday mornings when I know in the morning we're going to church. That's not the time I want to start saying, this thing, let's warm this food. I'll just, when I'm about to go and sleep, I'll just put in the flour, put in all the things I want to put in. I'll just set it and I'll go and sleep. When I wake up in the morning, there's hot bread, very hot bread ready. Whether he wants to use peanut butter or butter, wants to take it with tea. Fresh, hot, piping bread is ready at any time of the day. Totally and completely effortless. How many is that? How many have I mentioned now? 4. Number 5. Pressure cooker. And no, I'm not talking of pressure pots. I'm talking of pressure cooker. A pressure cooker can also work as a rice cooker. You can actually also use it to bake. You can use it to do so many things. What it literally does is it pressure cooks your food, and the time has already been set there. Whether you want to use it to do stew, or you want to use it to do rice, you want to use it to do beans, all those hard foods that will take time. What you just do, you put everything inside, put your ingredients, lock it, press rice or beans or stew or steaming or whatever. You just press it and walk away. Once it finishes cooking, it will automatically on its own turn to keep warm. And that keep warm will just keep your food ready till any time. For someone like me, when they've gone to school and everything, put everything in the pressure pot, the things for lunch or the things for dinner. Put it in the pressure pot, put it on. It will finish cooking and put it on keep warm. Anybody comes after school, I'm hungry, there's food in the pressure pot. Hot, piping hot food is in the pressure pot. Dinner, I don't have to now start searching again, say for dinner. I know the days I'm going to be busy. I don't have time to now start doing it. Everything would already have been cooked in the pressure pot for whatever time. It keeps food hot for up to 12 hours. You can imagine that. So something you cooked from 9 a.m., 9 p.m., it will just keep it at a steady temperature, make sure it's hot, that it doesn't lose this thing. And then afterwards you can simply pack it and put it in the freezer. How many of us will even last from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. before we eat that food that we have cooked? So that is 5. Now, which one will I say is the 6th one? I'm thinking between a juicer. I think I'll go for a juicer. Especially the juicers they are making right now that can also make ice cream, that can make smoothies, that can make things like that. Yes, especially if your children, you've already gotten them used to sweet food. Getting a juicer is a healthy replacement for that. Then you can be making fresh fruit juice for them instead of all these sugar saturated fake juice that they sell in supermarkets. That one is very easy. All you have to do, wash your fruit, make sure it's clean. I usually say wash it with vinegar and water. You can also use baking soda and water. Wash it, clean it, put it in the juicer. Get your bottles, fill your bottles, and put it in the freezer. The time they want to take sweet thing, or the day you want to give them sweet thing to school, make sure it is frozen. Then take it frozen from the freezer, put it into their school lunch bag. Don't defrost it. Let them take it to school. By the time it's time for lunch, it would have defrosted, but it will still be fresh, and they can take it. For someone like my son too, I have the juicer. I use it for even birthday when he's doing his birthday, because you will not see me buying minerals for birthday. What I don't give my son, I will not give another person's child. I don't buy that. I make all the juice we use for his birthday. All I have to do is buy the bottles. I wash and clean them, and I juice. There's pineapple juice, there's orange juice, there's watermelon juice, there's apple juice. I do tiger nut milk, I do coconut milk, and I bottle it up and seal the bottles, and that's what we share for his birthday. We're even about to have our Women's Week in church. Women's Week, immediately they were about, because many times when I do Thanksgiving for my birthday or my husband's birthday, I'll take these things to church, I give them. The moment they announced Women's Week, they were already looking at me. Mommy, Andrew, share you will do juice for us. Since it's you that don't want us to be buying minerals again, you will do juice for us. I said, no problem. I'll do for the whole church. I have 2 juicers in my house. I have the home one. I have the commercial one that can produce a lot of this. I said, no problem. The only thing it will cost me is money for fruits and money for the bottles. But it's a joy when people understand that, oh, this woman will not be part of us buying minerals, will not be part. So it's something you should look at when you want to feed your family healthy. So I've told you, blender with dry meal, air fryer, bread maker, food processor, bread maker, pressure cooker, and juicer. Those 6.
Yeah. Thank you, Lagos housewife. As you said, I wish there's a way you can pass things from your house to my house. As you were talking, I was reading Proverbs 31. And a lot of my sisters who want to be Proverbs 31 woman, you are missing something that is important. Maybe I should stop preaching about you not trying to be Proverbs 31 woman. I should just point you how you can do it easily. Let me read to you what the Bible says. The Bible says, there's a point I found out in that Proverbs 31 woman's life. There was no sex. Have you ever checked? Have you ever seen? Did you ever read that woman has sex with her husband? Her husband is at the gates. She's making food. She's doing clothes. The Bible says she weaves her clothes herself. No wonder there's no sex. She must be tired. She must be exhausted. I simply, it's just as we were talking Lagos Housewife. I was reading, I was like, no, there's no way that they mention intimacy in this woman's life. Oh. I don't know what kind of life that is. Oh. But I don't even know how to figure it out. Maybe I should not bring problem into when there was no problem. But the Bible says she keeps herself busy making wool and linen cloth. She did not have access to machine. She gets up before daylight to prepare food for her family. She did not have air fryer. That woman, there was something wrong with her. The Bible says, and she tells her servant women what to do. She looks at a land and buys it. When does she have the time? She slept late. She woke up early. Yes, she went to buy land. But the Bible says that she had money that she had earned. I wonder, maybe it was the clothes she was making. She was selling some of it. Okay. The Bible says she's a hard worker, strong and industrious. She spins her own thread, Jesus, and weaves her own cloth. Okay, let me just leave it there. Tony, are you there? Because I don't like to complicate issues. But all I know is that Proverbs 31 woman did not have a sex life. We will talk about sex tomorrow, but I just leave it there and let the sleeping dogs lie. Tony, how do I explain to my daughter about sex? Will this not make her start thinking about having sex? And now we're going to talk about girls and we're going to talk about boys. How do you address sex with them? Body parts and sex. Their sexual function, their sexual ability. These are real issues that we need to talk about to our children. How do you do that?
Yes, thank you for that question. So I think the very first thing is to, most experts would say, call the body parts what they are. There's a penis, it's a penis. It's not the wee thing. It's not really, it's the penis. You have a vagina, you have a bottom, use the appropriate or the correct names for those parts. And I think that for every child, there are age appropriate illustrations, age appropriate. You would not speak to a 3-year-old about all the functions of how a baby is made. Oh, mommy, there's a baby in your tummy. Oh, there's a baby in my tummy. God put it there. By the time the child is 7 or 8, it's like, okay, God put it there, and you're going to be able to move the conversation a little bit forward. But before they turn 12, you need to be able to explain to them exactly what happens because there's just so much exposure. So compared to even at times, I guess it just depends on the circles you move with. But the very first thing I want to tell parents is there's no need to shy away from these subjects. You want to be the first person to tell your children, to give your children the information that they need. You want them to hear it from you first because a lot of them are going to school and picking up, things and incorrectly. So you want to be the first person to give them accurate information. You want to be the first person to give them, your perspective, the Christian perspective. You don't want it to be, for them to learn about sex from trash magazines or from porn sites or from, children who themselves have learned, from abuse or something. So you want to, I hear a lot of parents say, oh no, I'm shy. What are you shy about? Your children are going to grow up in this world and they need to know. There are very good resources if you search, that will be able to tell you how to, break down the subject. So for me, I used the book, I'll get the title. I used a particular book to speak to my daughter, my first daughter then about it. But one of the things I ensured I did was have an ongoing conversation with her. From time she was little, I would tell her things like, you don't, and of course she didn't understand, don't go sitting on anybody's laps. Well, this is about preventing abuse now. If anybody touches you inappropriately, let me know. But in speaking about sex, like I said, use the correct terms, correct body parts, educate yourself. So there's a way and manner that you can pass this information across to children, especially if, for instance, my father was a doctor. He was one who broke it down to myself and my sister, very factually, but a lot of us also didn't have, the correct information growing up. So you might not now be able to pass or educate your children the way you want them to be. So there are resources, to help you to do that. At what age should you start talking to them about it? Nothing really should be off limits. Your children should be able to come to you and ask you questions. And there are times when you're going to be able to say, look, at this time, this information you're asking for, I believe, is too big for you to chew or digest or to understand properly. Trust me, I'm your mom. When the time is right, I would let you know. But you don't want, for instance, a child, just waking up and finding, and we're finding out, children, young girls as early as 8 and 9, puberty is hitting. You don't want them to wake up and find, blood stains on their bed sheets, and you haven't explained what menstruation is. So don't shy away from these topics. Don't shy away from these conversations. I have a friend recently, in fact, he was just telling me last week that his son, on their way home from school one day, was asking the mom, how did babies come to be? And when the mommy was about to start saying, don't tell me that a baby brought a stock brought any child or something. At the end of the day, it was obvious, when his mommy finished, he said, hey, she mentioned the child in his school that this guy said this, but he didn't say this right way. So they're getting this information, and you want to be the first, you want to be the media source of information for your children. So please, that's, I think, about it. Understanding that the times we live in, they're picking up, just picking up your phone, for instance, and browsing YouTube. In 2 minutes, they can see things that, you as an adult didn't see until you were married and safe and secure. So it's really important. And from a Christian perspective, the marriage bed remains undefiled until, marriage. If you do not come out with that perspective early, I tell you that their perspectives will be skewed, because the kind of videos that they're watching, the kind of things that they're exposed to, you would be shocked that if you wait till 15, it will take a lot for you to be able to change that child's mindset that sex is for within marriage. So please don't shy away from it. Ask for God's help. Ask for the Holy Spirit's help. He will give you the words. He will point you to the right resources, and then you will do a good job. It's your responsibility as a parent, to give them the right information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. And you see how you prepare your children to have a beautiful sex life in marriage. That's from what you tell them. A lot of us are so ashamed to talk about sex. We're so ashamed. My husband and I were in Canada over the summer holidays, and we were at couples dinner in 2 separate churches, and the perspectives of people about sex. It was just beautiful to be able to discuss and to be able to ask. I put a picture on my Instagram where I put a microphone to a man's mouth, and I said, people should tell me what I was asking the man. And the question I asked the man is, what part of your wife's body will get her from 0 to 100% in less than 6 seconds? And you needed to see the faces of the people. Some people practically wish that the ground would open and they will run inside. But you see, I told them already at the beginning, I said, you see, all of you paid to come to this dinner. You better just laugh, whatever I do, because I'm going to come for you. And that was how it was. But at the end of the day, it was easy for us to talk about it. Don't feel ashamed. As I said in my post, if you're a married woman, all of us, including me, think that you're having sex. We know that you're having sex. If you're not having sex, there's something wrong. So get yourself ready. Talk to your children about it. You need to explain to them. Some children are not very curious. Some, there's a way you can present things to them. Depending on, your children. The ones that already, they're so inquisitive. They'll say, so how did it go inside your belly? You said God put it there. Did God take a knife? Did God inject it? Some children will ask you that. You see, be unshockable. I'm sure that person that asked that question, Tony, I'm sure your friend slammed on the brake. Probably. Slammed on the brake. Because they'll say, And some of us, when we're talking about bedroom and sex and things like that, you have young children. They just come into your room anyhow, or you have slightly older children. The fact that you are so ashamed, what do? You panic, you don't know what to do. A friend of mine said to me, I don't know how long ago, and said, look, my daughter came in when we're having sex. I said, look, wrong time. Can you step out, please? And then the next day said, what happened yesterday, mommy? Said, it was time for intimacy. So, oh, I'm sorry. And that is the reality of it, because you need to let them know that you actually do this thing. Okay, you do. The children will say, yeah. He said, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, make any sound. But that is the reality. I do this. I'm expected to do it. So they're not ashamed. And if anybody is trying to do anything to them, they are likely to talk to you when you've been open about it, rather than when you're making it shrewd in secrecy. The Lord will protect our children, but we really need to be aware, not only for the girls, for also the boys. They need to be aware. Nobody touches them anyhow. Be open about sex. Be open about what to expect. Promote holiness and their understanding about what sex should be. Omalade, we're coming next for you. I wanted us to finish at 10. I'm hoping we can do. I've got a question for you. I'm a young Black African woman in a managerial position in a multinational company. How do I respond to members of my team who are not receptive to feedback, especially because they are older than me and set in their ways? And how do I establish authority in such an establishment? Omalade.
Volume.
Okay, you can. I need you to log out and log back in. Don't worry. We'll take another question whilst we're waiting for you. So the next question will be for Trisha. Let's find Trisha. Okay. This is a question for you, Trisha. I earn in Naira, but I'm well paid and I desire to invest in foreign businesses. Do you have any ideas how this works? And if yes, which countries would you advise?
Necessarily need to be well paid before you can invest, before you can make foreign investments. You do not necessarily need to be well paid to have a lot of money, right? We are using StreamYard now. We use Zoom. We have Samsung phones, we have iPhones, we have Apple Watches. We use Microsoft Teams and all of those things. We use it. We spend money to access these devices. You can as well leverage these devices to. You can as well leverage these companies to make money, right? So you do not necessarily need to earn a lot. That is the misconception a lot of people have. They are waiting till they attain a certain financial level before they can actually invest in the foreign market. With technology has made things so easy. With 5,000, with 3,000, you can buy a portion of Google. Maybe it might not be a complete share, it might just be 0.00. You can buy a portion of Apple, you can buy a portion of Tesla. I never bought a Tesla share, but early in the year, I just wanted to try my hands on it. And then I just moved like 20 something, I can't remember the exact figure, but 20 something thousand naira. And I got just a fraction, not even up to one share. And after a while, after some months, I sold it off and I made 30 something thousand naira, right? So with that extra 5K, you're just inculcate it as a habit. The extra 5,000 in your account, the extra 10,000 naira in your account, you do not need to, don't go buying unnecessary things, and some things that you don't need. Just move it. There are apps that make these things easy. One of those apps is Bamboo app, the Bamboo app. For instance, at the time I bought the Tesla share, it was about 1,100 and something naira per share. I remember I told you that I just bought shares worth 20 something thousand naira. That would be like 0 point something dollars or thereabout. And I still made a little profit. I checked a few days ago and it had crashed because of the global recession. It had crashed to like 200 and something naira. So imagine you buy it now, and in some months' time or in a year time, it moves up again. So this is not something you can really learn from here, right? So just get information and go to YouTube and listen to videos on how you can invest in the foreign market. Now, if you have a lot of money to invest, one of the instruments you can also invest in is REIT, R-E-I-T, REIT. REIT. Now, before I go into that, one of the advantages of investing in the foreign market is that your money will be able to beat inflation, right? So now let me go to REIT. REIT is Real Estate Investment Trust. So you can also buy REIT it's also listed in the American stock market. So REIT is like a collection of real estate companies. It's a collection of, it's a company that make money via real estate. They own shopping malls, they own condos, they own hospitals, they own hotels. So you are a part owner of that property. So they are making profit of that property. They are making profit of their hotels. They are making profit of their hospitals. They are making profit of rental income. You are also a percentage. Now, I also want to mention that I notice a lot of us invest in real estate, especially a lot of us in the abroad. We invest in real estate. Nigeria is your home country, fantastic. And it is important that you have properties in Nigeria. But a lot of people make this mistake of working so hard and bringing their money to Nigeria to invest in real estate, buying land. It's okay, it's your home country, home is home. You should have houses, you should have, but do not depend solely on investing or on repatriating your money to Nigeria to invest in real estate, please. I was doing an analysis recently. Imagine you bought a property worth, say, $100,000 in Nigeria, and in 2020, before the pandemic, dollar to naira was 320 naira thereabout. So imagine you bought a property worth $100,000. That would be like 32 million naira, right? That would be like 32 million naira. And after 2 years, in 2022, you want to sell off that property, and the property has appreciated and by 50%, and it's now worth 50 million naira. Now, the dollar to naira rate is now 730 naira. Now, your property in Nigeria has appreciated to 50 million naira. Now, if you do the conversion, you have lost a whooping 32% on that property, because your property is now worth $68,000. Your property that was worth $100,000 in 2020. So if you are in the abroad, I'll advise that you just keep, while it is important to get properties in Nigeria, but constantly, what happens to buying real estate abroad? So so I mentioned REITs. So that was, by the way, I mentioned REITs. I mentioned you could also invest in the stock market. One of the apps you could use is Bamboo app. Via the Bamboo app, you could buy shares from some of these companies: Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon. You could buy shares from your Bamboo app just on your phone from your house. You do not need any special. You do not need any special process. You want to invest in the US or Chinese market, you could use the Trove app. Just like you download your Facebook or you download your Instagram and you just follow the prompt. It's that easy. So just download the app, follow the prompt, do your registration, and you are good to go. You can begin to invest. Then I also advise that if you want to delve into that, you diversify your investment portfolio. On those apps, they are what we call the ETFs. The ETFs, for instance, is a collection of the Fortune 500 companies in the US. ETFs are a collection of, some of those companies. So rather than using all your money to buy, just Amazon or just Tesla, in case anything happens to those companies, you lose your money. So if you have a percentage, say 50% in some of these companies and another 50% you use it to buy ETFs, because ETF is a collection of some of these companies, it is low risk. You may not make a lot of dividends, but it is low risk. You know that your money is safe. Example of some of these ETFs, S&P, QQQ, like I said, Google is your friend, YouTube is your friend. Do a lot of more research. So these are the ways you can invest outside Nigeria.
Thank you so much, sis. That was really good. So people, you know what to look for now. You know where to go. That was awesome. Now, Molade, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. Yes. So I need you to now answer that question. I want us to finish in about 15 minutes. I'm a young Black African in a managerial position in a multinational company. How do I respond to members of my team who are not receptive to feedback, especially because they're older than me and they're set in their ways? How do I establish authority in such an establishment? Fire on.
I guess my excitement about that question was what caused my network to glitch. And that question is exciting because this is a question or a situation that every woman in a corporate environment would face or have faced at one point or the other. The difference is we're probably not able to phrase it as well as, the sister that sent this in has done. But how do you address it? Many years ago, I did a course, it's on LinkedIn. I think a number of people can have a look. It's called Leading Without Formal Authority. That's even leading in a place where you don't have, the back-end authority. But in your case, you're a manager. Let me start by saying this. You need to know your authority. The basic problem I have seen, across groups of women who are in this position is we suffer from what is called imposter syndrome. We've listened to messages as we're growing up, listened to people over and over that says it is impossible for a woman at a certain age to be at a particular place. So we see it as something impossible, something extraordinary. And we feel like, am I fit? Should I be here? Am I even qualified to be here? And let me tell you this, even if it's just internal, people can read your body language. You might not think it's visible, but it is visible. So the first thing is be clear on your own authority. Believe in your own authority. The reason I'm starting with that is the easiest person to change in this equation is not the co-workers or your juniors or those that are reporting to you. The easiest person to first and foremost change is yourself. So work on yourself, believe in your authority, know that you are not imposing, you are in that position because you're qualified and because the organization believes in the value you're bringing to the table. That is the first thing. I was telling some colleagues of mine some time ago that I don't believe anyone in this organization would employ someone that they don't feel is qualified enough for that role. So believe that it's because you have what it takes to deliver and to lead those people effectively. And once you believe that, you go to the next step. Now, what is the next step? First and foremost, be aligned with your own boss or with the organization's principles in terms of what is expected. You don't want a situation where you are giving instructions, because let me tell you what happens when you're in this kind of situations. I've worked in, multinational for a number of years. I've worked with people across different cultures. Some people are coming from cultures where they see it as as a weakness to listen to women. So those kind of people, or people who feel like, oh, I should have been the one, I've been in this organization longer, I should have gotten the role. What they do is they subtly watch out for your errors. So once you're saying something, they are quick to go look and see, oh, there is something countering this either in what your boss has said or in what, the organizational principles or strategies are. So familiarize yourself with, the expectations for the role and the expectations for your team, and also align with your boss. The reason I'm saying this also as the second step is you do not want to put yourself in a situation where you are then giving them instructions and then they are going to your boss to counter it. Of course, when they go to the higher authority, they are not saying this because they want to counter what they're saying, they present it differently. So you have to make sure you have an ally in your boss, or, get yourself aligned. Now, how do you then handle these people? Define your brand narrative as a leader. You need to own your brand narrative. What kind of a leader do you want to be known for? Define your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Do your SWOT analysis. Then define your brand narrative. You can't be everything to everyone. Look, one of the other issues, one of the greatest challenges that face women is we want to be liked. It's like an innate thing. You want everybody to like you. Can I tell you that, likability is not a requirement for success as a woman leader? I'm not saying be nasty. I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying don't care about other people's feeling. But even Jesus had 12 disciples, 12. One of them still betrayed him. He was not liked by him. So why do we want to be liked by everybody? So when defining your brand narrative, be known. What do you want to be known for? Someone of integrity, someone that is fair but strict, someone that is able to measure deliverables and ensure that it's been delivered on time. Someone that your people working with you or juniors can be open and they can come to you and say, okay, I care about you not just because of your work life, but also what you do outside, like not just because of your work commitment, but what you do. What kind of leader do you want to be known to be? Knowing that brand narrative actually then determines the next step you want to do. Now, what is the next step in asserting your authority to them? Number one, be clear in instructions. Women do, Miss Amabi, I was looking through the file and I was thinking, would you be, we use a lot of feelers because we're trying to not hurt people. People are employed for their task. You need to ask them to do the task. Be assertive about it. Dr. Mabi, I was looking through the deliverables and I noticed you committed to deliver this a couple of days ago. Are there some issues, impacting this that you need support with? I understand, you did not meet that deadline. Is there a way the organization can support you? Don't go like, hey, Dr. Mabi, I was just thinking, do you want me to help you? Your tone and your approach determines how they respond to you. Remember, I started from saying, believe in your own authority. You are not there by error. You are not an imposter in that role. Number two, finding an ally and understanding the strategies of the organization and the deliverables for your team. Number three, defining your brand narrative as a leader. What kind of leader do you want to be known for? And then number four is when you now go into dealing with them in terms of your tone, how you communicate the expectations. And please be very clear in expectations. One of the things I've also seen, I've worked with women as, bosses, as mentors, and I've also had to mentor, sometimes women also coming up. One of the things I see is we assume a lot. We are not clear in terms of expectations, especially when we have to deal with men. Because how they interpret is different from how you interpret. So sometimes you say something and in your understanding, it's clear what I want them to do, but they are saying, no, that was just a statement. There was no action item for me to do in that statement. There was no clear, task for me to accomplish. Be clear, be clear. If you have an issue with, building the confidence to say it face to face, start by sending it out as an email. List it out. This is what is expected, and always put timelines. Don't leave things open-ended. Look, you cannot force respect, but you can build respect. I tell people, even if you don't like me yet, respect me from the value I bring. Respect my qualifications. Respect my knowledge. It's taken me years to have this level of knowledge, this level of expertise. You don't have to force it. They have to, because then you become known as a leader who knows her onions, who knows what she's doing. A lot of times what people think is sometimes when we say, young Black woman, in a particular role, they think, oh, maybe you're just a token hire. Maybe you're just a diversity hire. Oh, maybe she's not smart enough. They are just putting out there because they need to meet some diversity target. Look, we all go through these times when we ask these questions of ourselves. But asking the question should not make you stop the value you're bringing to the table. Keep showing up, keep delivering your skills, keep speaking up, be strategic, meet targets, encourage your team, not just encourage, ask them. It's an obligation to meet those targets. And you become respected, even by men, not just by women. You become respected for what you bring to the table. Respect can breed likability later on, but it's not mandatory. Remember what I've said. Know your own authority. Believe in it. You're not there by error. Even if you're, I was at a program also some time ago, and I was asking the question that how do you deal with it when you feel like the diversity higher? When you are in a group, in a multinational group, for example, everybody is, white, everybody is a man, and then you feel like this token person. I like the way the woman that gave the answer did. She said, yeah, so what if you are the token higher? So they've given you a leg in. Prove yourself.
That's right.
Even if I'm a token, all I need is access. What separates a lot of times, for all of us, because we're going to university, the struggles of Nigeria, people are graduating from university at 28. And then you go to a white man land, somebody had finished school at, 20 and is already a CEO at 28. It's just the opportunity they had. And then got so good. You are now 28, 30, and you now finally get that opportunity and you get a leg in. It doesn't matter how you get that opportunity, my dear sisters. Prove yourself. And when you prove yourself, respect begets itself. But one of the things you should do, especially, like I said, I've worked with some people. I was in a particular culture where a man told me, this is a man that, was on dotted line reporting to me and said, sorry, a woman cannot correct me. And, years ago, when I was in Middle East and Africa, I was the regional tax manager then, and I had to travel to some of the countries, to meet up with the controllers there. They'd not met me face to face. So I went to one of the African countries. I think it was Algeria, if I remember correctly. One of the African countries, and then I met with one of the controllers. Then I was still so much slimmer and smaller. And then he looked at me and I'm like, is this Omo? I'm like, yes. So like, you look so much smaller than, in the calls, you feel like this, everybody thinks you're this big person. And then they look at me like, so this is you. I'm like, yes, this is me. I didn't let that stop me. Of course, there's friendliness, but friendliness should not now cross over into undermining your authority. And you need to strike that right balance. You don't need to be harsh. You don't need to be awful. You need to respect people, but you don't let people take advantage of you. But it starts by first and foremost believing you are not in that place by error. Right. You respect yourself, you get that respect from others.
Awesome. Wow. It's now 10 o'clock, but you see, I've had to mark some questions red because we definitely have to go through them. So 3 minutes per question. The first one is coming for you, Rayo. Money is a major cause of discord in many marriages, and you and your husband work in different capacities on the brand Lagos Housewife. How do you manage money between the two of you and remain friends?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Number one, for us, what we do, we have this philosophy. Any money that comes into the family, regardless of who it comes through, belongs to both of us. So whatever comes in, we have a sharing formula already. There's a certain percentage that goes to him, the same percentage goes to me, a certain percentage goes to our son's account. We have the percentage that goes to the home savings, home expenses, business savings, business expenses. So all the money is divided like that. So as it's coming in, this one is going there, this one is going there, this one is going there. So the one that comes to me is my money. I can use it for whatever I want. The one that goes to him is his money. He's going to use it for me at the end of the day. But that's and then I handle the business savings. I handle the I handle the home savings and the home expenses. So we have where the home savings goes, where we don't touch it, where it's being saved. Then the home expenses, since I'm basically the one that handles the things we need in the home, that is what that one is used for. Then he handles the business expenses and the business savings. So if I need anything in the business, he's the one that I say, okay, we need this one is out and everything. If he needs anything in the home, he tells me, okay, I need this for the home, I need this, I need that, I handle that. So what we have is just that sharing formula that is already in place, and that is how we do it. It's our home. If he doesn't take care of it, who will? If I don't take care of it, who will? So that's just
Wow, that is awesome. I must say, I mean, some ladies are listening and they're like, oh, if only my husband will be like Rayo's husband. You see, you are married to your husband, and that is what is unique about you. It is not every family that this money sharing thing can work. Find out what works for your home. You see, because some people, you just heard Rayo, she gets a percentage, her husband gets the same percentage. Some husbands will not allow you to have that percentage. You have percentage that is equal to that of the child. It is all right. Find out a way to work things in your family. And I must say that you start this from way before you get married. You need to have an understanding of what money means to you before you get married. The man you are courting, you need to have an understanding what money means to him. It is so important that you deal with that. Not that somebody who doesn't earn a lot of money but likes to wear designer wears, you end up taking loans, he has access to all the money you're earning. The children's school fees are not being paid. Meanwhile, your husband is wearing Gucci. So you need your situation is unique. There is a right wisdom for your own marriage. We don't have joint accounts within my family. Some families thrive on joint accounts and then they put money in savings, a certain percentage of each salary. In my family, everybody does everything. Whatever happens, somebody has got it done. And you see, so that is how we work. It doesn't mean that is how your family will work, but find out what works for you. Thank you so much for that, Rayo. Now, Toyi, your last question for the day. What would be your definition of a successful motherhood?
So coming off from the last question, everyone has their definition of success. I think the most important thing at the end of the day is to stand before God, your maker, your creator, who gave you those jewels, and say, Father, you entrusted them to my hands, and I have stewarded them and pushed them and bent them in the direction you wanted them to go. So the most important thing is to go to God and ask him what is the definition of success for this child, and for each child it will be different. Somebody's going to be a successful pianist, another person is going to be a PhD holder, another person decides I don't want higher education, I want to become a successful mechanic. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, you as a mother have prayed them through. You as a mother have been there for them. You've been responsible. You have taken, stood up to answer their questions. We had spoken about sex. It's not about withdrawing. You stand in the gap for your children. So successful motherhood will mean different things to different people. But at the end of the day, I think the common denominator would be that you are able to stand before God and say, the work you gave me to do, to the best of my ability, with your grace, with your help, I was able to, do this. And I think above all, we had spoken about that earlier. You are now, it's obvious you cannot compare yourself with another mother or with another parent or with another child's, outcome. Your child is quiet, your child is reserved, your child is a teacher who's influencing lives. They might not be in the newspapers, but at the end of the day, God had created that path for them. In the volume of books, it is written of them to do thy will, to do God's will, and they've done it. And I think for me, that would be my definition of success, to stand before God and say, my daughters, our daughters, you give them to me, and I'm proud that, with everything you gave to me, I was able to multiply the talents you placed in my hands.
Awesome. Amen. Thank you. So one person's outcome is not necessarily your outcome. Your success is based on the target that God set for you. Thank you for that, Tony. And that means you don't compare one child with another. That is the beauty of it. God bless you. Omolade, how do you gracefully leave an organization? Gracefully, soft life game. We got to do it, How do you do that? You want to resign. You want to leave. You've had enough of them. Let's say it as it is. How do you leave?
Number one, I shouldn't call number one because it's not like I have a list. How do you successfully leave an organization? It's number one, honor your commitments. Don't burn bridges. Working out of an organization today does not mean the people you have met in the line of working in that organization cannot still be stepping stones for you in future. Don't burn bridges. It doesn't matter how bad that organization might have been. It might just have been the company culture. It doesn't mean the people in that organization have been bad. They would also move out. They will move to other areas of life, and they become the connections that you need. Let me tell you a very quick story. You know, in the current organization I am in right now, I've been working there, I think, for about 14 years, thereabout, jumping through different roles. It was another friend of mine that recommended me to join that organization. You know, we were both working in another firm, in a consulting firm, consulting for this organization. And he got a job, so he moved. So I was like, Chai, now it's just me, right? I was still in my former, you know, office. And he then said, you know, I think some time later, like, oh, there's a role that I was like, look, this is not, he said, chief accountant, like, how does I'm a lawyer, tax expert, you know, controls. What does that have to do with this role that is open? But he pushed me and said, just put it in. I know it's not it. At the end of the day, I put it in for it. He gave a word for it. They created another role. So they still employed someone for that original role. Because honestly, it wasn't my skill. I'm not qualified. So they ended up employing two of us. One person for the chief accountant, and then they created another role for me that suited me. It was because this one person that we left an organization together was able to speak. Now, if it had been an issue of him burning bridges. Now, there were also phases. I think after a few years, I had moved to another country in the same organization. And then there was another role in another country. And I encouraged him to also leave Nigeria for that. It's about what? Connections. Don't burn bridges. The people you are living in that organization today might help. So the first thing, like I said, is honor your commitment. If your commitment is to give them a 1 month notice, 30 days, honor it. If you can't, pay them off. A friend of mine actually asked me that question, you know, some time ago. Hopefully I don't know if she's watching this or she'll watch it later. She was coming back from maternity leave, but then she got a better job. But then, you know, because they gave her an extra time for maternity leave, for her to go to the other job, she might need to pay them off or just walk away and turn it to, you know, a giddy. But I told her, I said, don't do that. You know, and this is just three of us, you know, small group of friends. I'm like, no, if you need to pay them off, even if it would be painful, pay before walking away. Honor your commitments. If it is time, fulfill the time. If it is money, fulfill it. And then respect your network. Don't live rudely. Don't say that boss that has always been treating me bad. Now that I am leaving, I can say whatever it is in my mind to them. My dear sister, swallow it. The same way you've been swallowing it while you were there, swallow it. Go and drink water. I would have said drink Coke, but Lagos housewife will beat me. So please, go and drink fresh juice on top of it. Swallow it. Don't do that. Don't do that. And as you leave, I tell people, now LinkedIn is very, very easy. I've left an organization more than 15 years, and I still see former colleagues coming back in to say, Omalade is known for this. They would make recommendations. Connect with your colleagues on LinkedIn. Look, those same colleagues you left, they will leave also. And some of them now some of my former teams, a number of people have become partners. If I need access to some information, I know the people I would call. You know, sometimes, you know, I'm in a kind of meeting and they're saying, oh, how can we get this information in this? And I remember that, one of my colleagues I saw on LinkedIn has now moved to this industry. I'm like, oh, I think I actually know this person. But if I had worked, you know, now that I found a better job, I had shown all of them, like, you guys are now worthless. I'm better than you. I'm stepping out. I would no longer be able to knock on that door. So remember, honor your commitments, respect your network, build and create a network, and don't burn bridges. Walking away from an organization is not the end of life now. I'm fulfilling destiny. So, but you can live and still live, you know, in a place of joy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Olade. Drink juice and mind your business. No more Coke. I will not say much. I seal my lips. Hey, Lagos housewife, share with us really quickly 3 unique ways in which the Holy Spirit has helped you to prosper.
Three unique ways in which the Holy Spirit has helped. Well, number one is by telling me specifically what platforms to go on and how to utilize those platforms. That's number one. He actually directed me to Instagram. And then when the time came, he actually directed me to YouTube. At the time, it wasn't even really popular. He told me, grow your YouTube and everything. And that actually created another source of income, because with YouTube ads, that one is generating money on YouTube. That's number one. In fact, I had no idea of doing that at all. No plan to do that. Then another time, I think about three or so years ago, when it was getting close to my birthday, he told me to open a Telegram group. And I was like, I do not have that time. I there's nothing and he said, open it. And I was like, okay, the kind of people I want in the group, there are people who are serious. I don't just want anybody just to come there and everything. It's a group. If it's just for anybody, then let it be the public social media, Instagrams. But if it is a group I'm going to be handling, I don't want just anybody coming to say something, turning it to a marketing place or turning it to whatever they can do. And I said, how am I going to do this? I want people who are genuinely interested in feeding healthy, cooking healthy, genuinely interested. And he told me, he said, write a recipe book. Just a small recipe book, 10 recipes. He said, give it out free on your birthday. He said, and somewhere near the end of that recipe book, put the link to the group. Meaning it's only people who actually take time to read the book who will see the link. And I did that. And you won't believe how many people downloaded the book free. We had, as in, I'm saying we had like over 30,000 downloaded the book. But do you know, only about 3,000 people clicked the link, even till today, 3 years later. And the people in that group are beyond amazing. I cannot even, as I am right now, I just look at the group, I see what is going on. I have admins who are handling everything, people who have spread the message to other places. And do you know, it is someone from that group, when God told us to start the new business we started, that Mama Mobi's husband has been telling us about, that we finally started. It was someone from that group that God told us employ her. We met her through that group and we saw her passion and we employed her. And from the moment we employed her from that business, the sales just went boom.
Wow.
It shot up. The amount of business she's bringing in from us from that employment. So that is a second way. And then the third one again is how we even started that business. It was a business I was so reluctant to start. And as I said, Mama Obi's husband he told us about it. He said, God is telling you to do it. I just kept quiet as if I did not hear. And, I was avoiding starting it and all that. And then when the time came to actually start it this year, it's really just like a central place where people can buy healthy food and everything. Instead of ordering from this, from that, God said, bring everything together under one place and let them be able to get everything needed for healthy eating from you. When the time came, January this year, someone had actually been buying whole spices from, they grow the spices themselves, they grow everything organic. I met him at a fair and we've been close since then. And he just called me and he was like, because where their farm is located, outskirts of Lagos, they are having such a difficult time, disappointments with customers and everything. He says, so logistics issues. He said, but because I've been such a blessing to the business, he can't do this without telling me. So he just wants to tell me he'll be closing up the business. he will not be doing it again. And immediately the Holy Spirit told me, if that business closes, it's because you refuse to do what I told you to do. And I was like, okay. And then I told him, I just said, let me get back to you before you close it. And I then spoke to my husband and now confessed everything to him, showed him where I had written it down 2 years ago when God told us to start that business. And then we started it, and it has just been tremendous. The amount of vendors we've been able to bring in, everything coming in, even to people we're employing, the way he's giving us good staff and everything. Those are direct ways here. Someone was asking me about the business, about Asha store. I'll say, what is the stock and everything? And I was like, I have no idea. I do not know the stock we have. I don't. And the reason I don't know that is because there are competent people handling it. Imagine if I had to stop what I was doing in Lagos Housewife to now be concentrating on that. And these people came through the group and so many things like that. So these are direct ways the Holy Spirit has actually helped me.
Awesome. That is unbelievable. My dear sisters, the Holy Spirit in us is not just to speak in tongues. It's to make life easy for us. He'll make everything easy. You're going for job interview, he'll give you a clue who will be there. You're going for a job, you know what will do. I tell you, I share with you, go listen to the testimonies on my Instagram wall. You know how the Lord gives instruction about the day. He will tell you, be careful. Don't do this one. Don't accept these people when they call you. That is how to live a victorious life. That is just the way he shows you hidden things so you don't make mistakes anyhow. The last question for the day is to Trisha. Trisha, this is the question. As a Christian wife, your husband does not believe in tithing, but you do. How do you manage the situation?
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. And by the way, Sister Rayo, my husband said I should collect your address. He says, like, this woman has plenty of food in her house.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, back to the question, how, well, it depends on how you handle your family finances. Now, a moment ago, Mama Mo and Sister Raya talked about what's obtainable in each of their families and how every family's dynamic is different. Now, if he does not believe, if in your what is obtainable in your own family is that, okay, we keep separate accounts, but we spend we spend as the need arises. When you get your own salary or your own profit from your business, you pay your tithe. Your tithe is actually not your own. I'm a firm believer that if you earn 100,000 naira, you just zero your mind. You just assume you earn 90,000 naira because 10,000 naira is not your own. So what I'm bringing home, you don't pay your tithe after your expenses. You spend what is left after paying your tithe. So my take home, what I am bringing home is 90,000 naira, and then that's what we're going to live on that while God is working on the partner to understand tithing. Now, in families where they operate joint accounts, you have to bring in your resources together to prevent having issues. Usually, if you bring in your resources together, every person still has his own portion. You pay tithe from, assuming you're running a family business, and then you have your own maybe salary or whatever, you have your own percentage, just like Sister Rayo explained. You pay your tithe from your own portion, because because even if you are running a business, personally, for instance, I pay my personal tithe, my business pays tithe. So if unfortunately you are running your business, a joint venture with your husband, and you are unable to pay tithe, allow God to handle him. Allow God, while you are praying with him, allow God to deal with him. But your own portion, you can pay your tithe from your own portion. That is what I think.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. There is a question that was sent in, and Omalade forwarded this to me. It says, let me mute. It says, my question is, does that mean it is not good to multitask? The lady who asked this question, I believe you know the answer, because usually this kind of question is saying that some thoughts went through your mind and you didn't need us to say this again. How can we ever say it is not good to multitask? You've got women on this platform tonight. You've got me. I believe that I'm probably a queen of multitasking. I can do how many things per time. You've got Toyi here, who is a very busy woman. She's doing many things at the same time. You've got Trisha, and you can hear her talking about many business ideas. She's doing this, she's doing that. You've got Omalade, who is the overall queen of multitasking, and then you go Rayo. So we never said at any point that it is not okay to multitask. How can you live without multitasking? You've got to be able to multitask, otherwise you're going to be a failure. What we're saying is that, like one of the questions Omalade answered, look, there must be a structure to your madness. There must be a structure to your madness. It's not taking everything on board at the same time. You're a mother, you're a wife, you are a hard worker, you're a ministry woman. That means you are able to control many things. And you see, we can do that effortlessly when we are organized. So we're saying, look, you can do all these things, but make sure you decide what is important. Number one is your relationship with God. Number two is yourself. Number three is your family. Number four is the whole world. And the whole world will include your parents, your pastors, your everything. I know in some families, pastor is right ahead of God. But you see, if you are doing that, you're already a sinner. And you need to confess your sin. If Jesus comes tomorrow, you might not make rapture. So you need to make sure that things are arranged in the right order. Boundaries are very important. Don't commit yourself to too many things. It's not every time somebody says, can you do this? Oh, yes, I can. Can you do that? Oh, yes, I can. One of our sisters gave an example of putting shoes on that is oversized for you. You're going to trip and you're going to fall. So yes, you can multitask. You can take on many things, but be very careful that you're not overwhelmed by that. On this occasion and on this note, we're going to finish the evening session tonight. We are live tomorrow at 6:30. We're starting earlier tomorrow because you see, there are problems in this world. I don't think problems can finish. Tomorrow is problem evening. My husband does not like cookie. Why? My husband wants me to give him blowjob. Why? Tomorrow evening is everything. Tomorrow we will finish Wives Summit. So 6:30 tomorrow evening. Make sure you're here. Make sure your friends are here. We've got the panel. Those people are hot, as in, hot. And they're going to be talking about many issues. But yours truly is going to be here. You want to learn about blowjob? What Bible say, what Bible did not say. Why your pastor say, what your pastor did not say. Your husband will not sleep with you more than once in 2 years. I will be here for you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night and God bless you. Ladies, thank you so much for coming. You have really been a blessing. I appreciate you all. Have a good night, everyone. Good night all.